Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Heroes Hearth TFT Fight Night. Excited to get back into some casting, and as always, alongside me, we have the one and only, the mustache, Casanova. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing quite well. Doing much better now that we've got some TFT action coming in. Really excited to see these players. We got a bunch of returning faces. We got 6 players that we have seen before on Fight Night here to compete today. We're adding a couple new ones as well. We got Aries TFT and Infurrier coming to join this fine cast of exceptional players that we have here today. Returning players being, of course, Sphinx, who is a defending champion, Faye, who has won multiple times, the queen of Fight Night, Jinxed, also a winner, Kladeous, a staple of Fight Night, Striving Light, who really came onto the scene last time with one of the best Fight Night performances we've ever seen and still somehow managed to fall the Sphinx, and Teebs, who we've seen here before and has performed quite well on top of that. So a really star-studded lineup here today for you guys, and I'm excited to bring it to you.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at those players, every single player competing here tonight is very, very strong. But two that I have my eye on specifically would be Sphinx, obviously as defending champion. You did note as well that Striving Light, her performance last week was pretty insane, but still somehow Sphinx managed to clutch out the victory, having those more consistent placements. So those two players I'll really be keeping my eye on tonight to see what they can bring. I mean, this is a new patch, 9.24. A lot of new changes, 3 new champions, a lot of things buffed and nerfed. So it's ready to just see who adapts to the patch the fastest. And whoever does that probably will end up taking the victory tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, it's all about adaptation. When you have a lobby this stacked, it's all about who has learned this patch the quickest and is able to find those strategies, and who will be able to adapt in the middle of this set of games to turn around their fortunes if maybe they don't have the right strategy going in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this patch just came over to live servers yesterday. Maybe these players played a little bit on the PBE beforehand to get used to it, maybe in preparation for tonight. But we'll see who has the patch down on lock. We see a lot of players going for the spatula here.
Yep, they're all together. Let's see who's going to get it. Oh, I can't quite see who has it yet. It looks like Faye. Faye's able to pick up that spatula on top of a Rek'Sai, but obviously just going for the item here.
Yeah, definitely. Now, spatula is very, very interesting on this patch because of the old composition that many players will refer to as the blender. But those are Blade Master Assassins. You want to make a Blade Master Spatula, put it on your Nocturne, get some good Sivir items, and then, yeah, that comp just goes to town.
Blender pretty self-explanatory, as you'll see the Nocturne cleaving away, spinning round and round, shredding the enemy comps to pieces. Well, of course, we should talk about, since this is Rise of the Elements, we are on a certain elemental map, this time the Ocean, giving additional mana to the unit that stands on that space. Now, it's interesting because Oceans were nerfed in the patch, and as such are less popular on this current patch. Maybe going to affect how this map plays out, seeing as how Qiyana is an Ocean, so maybe we'll see less play on the Qiyanas, or we will see just different comps coming out since the Ocean map was so good for that Ocean Mage composition.
Yeah, definitely a very good point there. Oceans did get nerfed at the 4-tier power spike. 4 Oceans got nerfed from 35 mana back down to 30, which they previously were. But with that change and the nerfs to Brand, we really don't see much Ocean Mage on this patch at all. So players will most likely go into another one of those compositions, maybe the Blade Master Assassins, as previously talked about, but maybe Predators, maybe Summoner Assassins, as Zed has not been nerfed. We saw Zed last time, I believe, the board full of Zeds. That was fun to watch. Maybe we'll see something like that again. But in terms of Qiyana's still a very powerful unit. She has not been nerfed, and then just her power as a standalone unit is still very strong. as well as Thresh and Nautilus being good frontline units, we might see some 2 Oceans splash into some of these compositions here. But probably not any more than that, though.
Absolutely. Right now, we see Teebs picking up a recurve bow off of one of the early rounds here. Has the BF sword as well. What are some of the items that you like to look for now on this patch that maybe were different from the previous patch?
Well, definitely spatula, obviously being the biggest priority, I think, whether it be to go Blade Master Assassins or to get a Force in Nature, because Force in Nature, obviously getting that +1 extra unit is very, very powerful. That's a Kindred 2 on the side of Sphinx there, actually. Just take a moment to... That's a 3-cost unit. Getting at level 3 is very unlikely.
Oh, no, it's not Sphinx who had it. He was scouting. I actually didn't see whose board it was. Sphinx is here sitting on his Vladimir 2, but he was...
This is Jinxed.
Sorry, no, Jinxed and Sphinx. Jinxed was the one scouting, Sphinx board. There you go. You got that right. Yeah, no, Sphinx does have that Kindred too. I'm going mad. All right. We'll figure that one out later.
Already, that's something. Obviously, this wins the round here. A Kindred 2 at round 2-1, taking out Striving Light in very convincing fashion. All 3 units there were still alive at the end. Yeah, wow. But in terms of you
can see his cam. He's just laughing. He knows he's in such a good position in the start of this game because he's going to be able to ride that Kindred 2 for a pretty good amount of time here. Going to try and build up that win streak. Already has Talia 2 as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I might consider putting in Infernos here, but it doesn't really matter what you put in if you're Sphinx right now. You're going to be winning these rounds pretty much guaranteed, and is still making money on top of it. Obviously, he only has 2 items here, the bow and the sword. And going back to initially, the question you had asked about good items, I do think that tier, sword, rod, and belt are very good. Morello's is still a very good item, regardless if you're playing it with Ocean Mage. If you're going Shojins as well, you can have a unit like a Zyra still be your early game carry to get you to these mid to late game compositions, say like Summoner Assassin or something of the sort. Singed is a bit less priority in this patch because he has been nerfed, and usually you would just throw a Merlos on a Singe and just run him as a solo unit, but that probably won't be seen quite as much anymore. So there's a bit of flexibility overall in terms of what items that you want to go for, depending on what comp you want to go for. And this patch is very new, so might even see some new comps coming out here tonight.
Absolutely. We've seen newer comps come out on these patches before. These fight nights coming out on a couple patch days since TFT has been kind of releasing a good amount of patches, a steady flow of content updates, which you do love to see in a game like this. Keep everything fresh.
Definitely. They're not updating quite as frequently as they were in set 1, but still very, very frequently. You know, it was a bit of a later patch cycle because of all the holidays, so this patch took 3 weeks to come out instead of the regular 2, but still, new units, new changes, something that a lot of TFT players definitely love to see. And love to see that Renekton spin there too, as heals up to nearly full, probably netting Infurrier the win on this round versus Jinxed.
Absolutely, that's definitely going to secure the win over Jinxed here. I mean, just a massive call to make. The Renektons we've seen a lot of times carrying many early game fights, getting a lot of wins for players. Definitely seems to still be one of the kind of premier early game units that you can get at that 1 cost.
Definitely. I believe the healing was nerfed by 25, but the damage is still the same on Renekton, so still a very strong early game unit. But something else that Infurrier did have there was 2 electrics with Ornn and with Volibear. 2 electrics has been buffed to 100 damage, up from 70. So anytime a unit will crit or receive a crit, that's a ton of damage, like a free Ionic Spark proc. Every time a crit happens there. So definitely a very, very strong early game synergy. Also chose to make the Zephyr there as well.
Yeah, it did choose to make the Zephyr onto that ocean tile, making sure to take out the unit that is put there, kind of negating the benefit of that tile somewhat, as the character will just be floating there in the air, not attacking anyone, not popping their ultimate, not utilizing the mana that they've gained. Especially in these early rounds, it does allow for you to generally kill off a couple units before they even come back down and join the fight.
Yeah, definitely. And that will give you quite the big early game power spike, but will it be enough here to take down Sphinx? I'm not quite sure that it would be. But checking with the phase board here, she has already committed to making that Blade Master Spatula and Rage Blade, two very, very strong items for a Nocturne. So she will most definitely be looking to go that route later on into the game, but just wants to make sure that she has a good early game here to get her there.
Right now it's sitting on a Talia, which does not seem to be, of course, the best character to have these items on. But, of course, as you said, she's waiting for her Nocturne. This is just temporary. She knows she'll be getting rid of the Talia later, and we'll pass those items on. Just very funny to see a Talia wearing those items right now.
Definitely a bit unorthodox, that's for sure. I mean, she gains a little bit of power off of the ability power that the Rage Blade grants, but yeah, definitely. One of the biggest things with the Blade Master Assassin composition is your transition. You want to be able to get to the power spike of hitting your Nocturne in Sivir 2 stars with losing as little HP as possible, because the early game, if you just buy those Blade Master Assassin units, will be very weak. So Faye trying to mitigate her losses there. She still is in 8th place currently, but she's doing all she can right now with the units that she has.
Yeah, and we see one of the new units here on Jinxed board. We see Senna, who has been tearing it up on Summoner's Rift, definitely receiving a bunch of nerfs there. But how has she been faring here on TFT?
Yeah, Senna and Lucian, the pair coming into TFT, they seem to be very, very strong. They are soulbound units, which means that every time that you have both Senna and Lucian in play, we might see Lucian a little bit later, he's a 4 cost, but whenever they're both in play, when one of them dies, they will still participate in the fight as if they were alive. They can't be targeted or anything like that, but they will still participate in the fight as long as the other one is still alive. Once they both die, then they're both out of the fight. But just a little, little neat, cute mechanic there between Senna and Lucian. But in terms of their power levels, they both seem to be very strong and especially pair very well together.
Yeah, definitely. You were talking to me earlier about a shadow light composition, which would make sense, of course, with that pairing. Especially Shadow being just a synergy that's been pretty powerful throughout the course of Rise of the Elements so far. Just kind of finds its way into compositions as it's a smaller synergy commitment, but definitely a very strong synergy nonetheless.
Definitely 3 shadows. Shadows has changed from 2 to 4 to now 3 to 6. And 3 shadows still gives you 70% damage on all your shadow units. So that's still quite the hefty amount there. We see Striving Light does have a spatula now with a bow, so maybe thoughts of Blade Master Assassin there, but it seems like she is pretty committed to trying to make shadows work here. Already has the tier 2 Malzahar with the Shojins there, very strong on the Ocean Tile specifically, because Malzahar will instantly cast his ultimate to summon those Voidlings and start getting that Shojin's value.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good tech on this map to go for that kind of strategy, especially being given those Malzahars early. Definitely going to be strong, especially in this mid game. I think it will help her find a lot of wins to transition later, as this power spike has been hit fairly early and should be able to ride a couple rounds on this. And you see, I mean, Malzahar pretty much decimating Faye's team here. By just summoning out all those Voidlings, just getting all that extra damage and tankiness out with those summons HP bars.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't even hit her 3 shadow or 3 summoner power spike yet, so there's even more room for that to be way stronger. Granted, Faye is pretty weak right now, because she has not hit those units that she needs yet, but still, Striving Light, extremely strong right now with that composition. Faye sitting on 60 gold, is now rolling. She needs to roll on level 6 to stabilize here. Hits a lot of Aatroxes, doesn't need any more of those though, but there's the Nocturne.
Finally.
Yeah, that's good. Needs to find a Sivir.
Can she sell off the Talia yet though? Because it is a tier 2 unit right now. But getting those items onto the Nocturne is very important. Oh, found the Sivir.
That's huge. Probably does it right now.
There we go. That will that will allow her to sell off the Talia and get this this Nocturne rolling. We'll see if it's enough with these tier 1 units going out right now. I mean, that Nocturne's just putting out a lot of damage already, even as tier 1, and these upgrades seem to really do the trick for Faye. I mean, she wins this round pretty handily, I would say.
Yeah, that was actually a very, very important turn for Faye right there, because she had a lot of gold and hit most of what she needed, only finding one Nocturne and one Sivir, but that is enough right now. Luckily, finds another Nocturne there. That's very, very important for her, because finding that Nocturne too, with 2 items already dedicated to it, is going to be such a huge power spike. Also important that she hit their frontline upgrades with the Yasuo and Aatrox there, because if those were still tier 1, probably would be losing some more rounds and losing more HP, which she can't really afford to right now.
Yeah, absolutely, being in last at the moment at 58, but not too low, of course, yet. So definitely, as long as she starts to turn it around a little bit, she won't be in too much trouble. That's a massive Malphite ult, and then another one on the other side of it. We do see a lot of the summons coming out for Teebs right now on this Zyra. We saw this composition with the Zyra kind of ocean mage composition dominating in the last fight night, but of course there have been balance changes. But Zyra still seemingly quite strong to pick up in this kind of mid game. We'll see how it fares as this game continues on, especially versus these blender compositions, as you said earlier. We do see the one coming out of Faye already kind of in stride, especially if she can find one more Nocturne. Yeah,
that's an important item that Faye just picked up right there as well. She picked up a sparring glove, which will make an Infinity Edge with the sword that she already has on the bench. So perfect item Nocturne, just needs to hit the 3rd one. But yeah, going back to that Zyra point, Zyra has not been nerfed, so she is still a very, very strong early to mid-game carry. Of course, when these blender compositions, if there's more than one, will turn online, they will make quick work of Zyra and any other units in that comp. But it looks like Teebs is sort of going the route of a summoner assassin composition, which eventually wants to find Zed and Light Spatula, Azir, Kha'Zix, units like that. So we're gonna have to check in with her later to see if that is indeed the route that she goes to. A lot of Malphites actually out in the map. We did see Malphite get buffed in this recent patch. He does more damage, I believe, on that ultimate. So a lot more priority there. You see Infurrier, you have one too. A lot of Malphites.
Yeah, there's the kind of Mountain Inferno combo here right now on Sphinx. His tier 2 Kindred has been doing a lot of work for him throughout this game so far. That's a big Malphite ult though, gonna hit his whole composition. The Mountain keeping that Thresh alive for quite a long time, but all these electric procs coming out, kind of wiping his comp up. A lot of summons out right now, but the Kindred's trying to pump down enough damage. Not going to be enough, though. The electric proc from Ornn able to take him down. Sphinx going to take a little bit of damage. He's still near the top of the table, though. 82 HP. Only one behind the leader right now, and Infurrier at 83.
Yeah, not that bad at all. I'm definitely curious to see if Sphinx wants to remake that Kindred, seeing as Shojin's does not really get a lot of value on her. Kindred, I believe, only has a 40 mana pool, and Shojin's giving percentage of max mana per attack really isn't that valuable on lower mana pool units. But we'll have to check in and see about that later. Infurrier, who is in first place, did win the last round with these early game electrics, now facing Striving Light. I think
this is the Malzahar composition. We're gonna see the electrics are kind of making quick work of these voidlings, and the 4 Warden is making this comp just incredibly tanky, allowing a lot of uptime to get these like electric procs going out. And we're gonna see another one probably come off soon, start to kill off those voidlings again. And yeah, actually kind of a soft counter comp going into Striving Light's composition, as the electric AoE just kind of deals with the voidlings as they come out. It's pretty interesting to see. Not really an interaction I feel like we see all that often. It definitely comes up enough, right? But it's not something you see every single game. The electric into those summons, just kind of dealing with them, and Infurrier being able to continue on his win streak right now.
Yeah, no, definitely a very, very strong counter there. It's still a close matchup nonetheless, so Striving Light is pretty strong, but Infurrier with those early game electrics, and I believe 4 completed items that were all good items, so that definitely helped out as well. But we check in with Jinxed here, trying to make that soulbound work. We see a nearly completed triple item Senna and a Lucian. See, Lucian did die there, but even while Senna is reviving Guardian's Angel, that Lucian Ghost will still continue pumping out damage. Jinx is going to need to roll for some upgrades here, though. Is level 7 with a lot of gold. Looking to go into 3 shadows, perhaps. Ooh,
yeah, that is a combo that I like quite a bit. Getting that GA onto one of the soulbounds, allowing more uptime for the soulbound that he is pretty much sacking in the front line. Try and make a little bit of space, allow it to die, and then continue to fight while the Senna is in the back safely, trying to stay alive with that GA.
Yeah. Definitely a very, very powerful move there. Senna was upgraded there, but Jinx is not working with a lot of free bench space. Had to sell off one of the units that he actually wanted to be able to find everything that he just did. Still sitting on a lot of pairs, though. Needs to find them soon because he is already at 28 HP, currently in last place. So definitely needs to keep getting these. I'm curious to see what Jinx does next turn, though.
And Sphinx was definitely not the person he was hoping to run into. Sphinx with a very, very powerful composition right now. Able to pick up a couple extra tier 2 units there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Definitely his composition is looking stronger and stronger as Infurrier does actually drop a round there, loses a little bit of HP, and does fall behind Sphinx here. He will lose his win streak, which definitely is going to hurt him in the long run.
Definitely will hurt him in the long run, gaining a bit less gold, but Jinxed here is still rolling. It's on a 5 loss streak. Has found an Amumu, but immediately rolled past it. Amumu not very strong at tier 1. Jinx looks like he's struggling here, facing Teebs, who has a Taric already. That's pretty early. Will it be enough?
Yeah, we have to just keep our eyes on this Zyra, but she's getting locked down repeatedly, just knock up after knock up. But Jinx just doesn't have enough damage in his composition right now. The Lucian is doing its best, though, and the Tibbers is going to come out and help secure this victory, as those Zyra plants aren't able to do enough. The Lucian being able to stay alive with the Soulbound buff did help quite a bit, as he was able to continue to pump out damage. But at the end of the day, Senna dealing about 3,000 damage was the top DPSer for Jinxed there, really pulling her weight. A lot of crowd control onto that. Zyra was able to help make the difference as well, mitigating a lot of the pressure that comes out of that champion.
Definitely so. And this is an important upgrade. The Lucian 2. Finding a tier 2 forecast unit to be your carry is definitely what you want to see if you're Jinxed. But facing Infurrier, who has been pretty strong so far, I'm not sure it'll be enough. Obviously, Lucian will fall here, but with Soulbound, he's still pumping damage.
Yeah, the Senna so far is pretty safe. A Volibear on her now, but she still has that GA available. Lucian going to be able to continue to deal a lot of damage. Malphite ulti is going to only hit the Ghost and the Scion. Senna staying alive the entire time is huge, because that means this Lucian just gets to pump damage. Senna still doing the top DPS for Jinx, but this Soulbound combo is really working out for him now, as he did find that upgrade. We'll have to see if it continues to work, as he's still fighting an uphill battle from that 28 HP, but we could see him slowly start to climb up, get some more upgrades, kind of be able to econ a little bit and move back up. 28 HP is still plenty to make a comeback.
Yeah, it's definitely at least 2 lives left in terms of how many losses you can take. Maybe 3 if they're small ones. So a lot, maybe not a lot, but a little bit of wiggle room here for Jinxed. Did pick up a belt. Definitely wants to make that a Morello's on the Senna. I believe when Senna casts her ultimate, it buffs allies, and those allies will benefit from the Morello's that she has. So a bit of a cool play there. Jinx not econing, though, wants to find some more upgrades. Thinks that he is a bit too weak right now.
Yeah,
I think that maybe is correct.
Scion, and just looking for a couple of these upgrades on the summoners that he has.
Yep, does make that Merlin's there.
Yeah, that's an interesting mechanic that they've put in, being able to pass that buff over to the other units, and we do see with that Seraphs that he will be able to immediately cast that ultimate.
Yep.
The Lucian continuing to pump out a lot of damage as it stays alive. We see a lot of the crowd control and just kind of overall battlefield control coming out of Jinxed comp. Finally, the GA is proc, but now everything runs away from the Senna, so she stays up as Lucian's able to continue to pump out damage. And we just see that combo working time and time again. Very creative play with this Senna. Has been obviously developed since she came out. A lot of people are running this GA, but very, very smart plays from Jinxed being able to set up this Soulbound comp.
Indeed, and checking back in with Faye here, as Jinx has seemed to stabilize for now. It seems as Faye has also stabilized, finding that tier 2 Nocturne with a couple to spare on the bench, wants to tier 3 those eventually, but now is just looking for those items for Sivir. Sivir benefits insanely well from having items like Hush, Red Buff, Swordbreaker for the disarm, items like that she definitely wants to find from Raptors, but she's strong enough for now, even without those.
Yeah, the blender is mostly online, probably on like medium power right now, waiting for a little bit more, trying to get those items onto Sivir. As you mentioned, items are very good on her, especially those items that apply debuffs because she uses her Ricochet and can bounce across the entire team. But unfortunately, medium power, not enough to win that round for Faye. And she is going to have to find some of these items going forward as these tier 3s are still a little ways off. But she does have a lot of gold.
That she does, so I think she'll either scout the rest of the board and decide to roll it down for those tier 3 upgrades, or maybe go to level 8 and throw Mystics in. I know it's something that a lot of people would look to do, Mystics and Clouds with Janna and Master Yi at level 8, but Mystics aren't really as needed this patch. I was going to say because people don't run Mage anymore, but we see Kladeous here with a 6 Mage composition saying, I don't care that it was nerfed, I'm still going to run it. I have a Brandon, he's not my item user, that's going to be Syndra, but it's seemingly working out. I mean, Kladeous sitting in 2nd place right now, is level 8, has a lot of gold. I can't really fault this.
Oh, they don't use mages, you say? Well, I raise you an AP Malphite that I stick in my front line here.
Yeah, I mean,
got a cap on him. Ready to go, ready to get those big unstoppable forces, get those fatty knockups. So we're going to have to see if Kladeous can hang on to this position here, but we see that Sphinx is in a massive lead right now, and everyone else is kind of clumped all together on their HP values, not too big of a difference. Kladeous still leading that pack of players behind Sphinx, but we'll see how he does here. He's against Infurrier, who is still one of the top players right now, but it seems his electric comp has started to fall off quite a bit, and these mages are putting out way too much damage for these wardens to handle. Not as tanky as they were early game, and Infurrier is definitely going to take a lot of damage here from Kladeous.
Yeah, Infurrier goes down super low there to 10 HP. At that point in stage 5, you definitely want a Zed at this point, or the electrics are, as you said, going to fall off. On the little sidebar there, saw Infurrier picked up a tier 2 Singed. Even did not use the Nico. Interesting. Okay. Is going to just stack the Singed. I mean, Singed was nerfed, so he's not going to be doing as much damage as last patch, but still going to be doing enough. That Nami is there.
This is a tier 2 Singe, so it's definitely still going to be very strong. I'm not sure if that Nami is exactly where he wanted that placement, but it might still get the title. No, going to get blended down by the Nocturne of Faye. And yeah, that's probably going to... What? Maybe I speak too soon. This Singe might be able to win. It's gonna revive, but the poison's ticking the whole time. So yeah, that's gonna be enough.
Yeah, Infurrier trying to do so many things at once there. Still has the Zephyr on the bench. Really needed to put that in, but fortunately enough, the Guardian's Angel and the Phantom Dancer on that Singe was enough to net that victory. And unfortunately, Jinxed falls in 8th place. But it is very, very close between 7th through 3rd here, with Striving Light with 6 HP and Teebs in 3rd with 16 HP. To check in with Striving Light here. 6 shadows.
every placement counts here, each one giving a different number of points. So definitely trying to fight for these last few spots. We'll see them running away from any damage that comes in, trying to hang on. But like you said, 6 Shadow has the Soulbound in as well with the Senolution.
Oh, this is not who Striving Light wanted to run into.
Yeah, not at all. We're going to see how this pans out, though, as that Singed runs around applying that poison to everybody. And it looks like that's going to do it for Striving Light. She's going to go down here. Does she hang on long enough? No, going to go down in 7th this round. Definitely one of the worst people to run into at that point. That Singed is massive right now.
Yeah, I would definitely say that is the strongest composition by far. So unfortunate to have to run into that at that point when you're so low in HP. But sometimes that's just how it goes, unfortunately. Infurrier looking to be definitely a contender for top 3, top 2, maybe even top 1, depending on these next matchups. But with a Nami 2, Singe 2, it's looking very, very good for him here.
He's got a small mountain to climb, being at 10 HP, but his composition right now seems to be the strongest. He does have one of the new characters in there, a Mumu, just to give him the 4th Warden for his comp right now. We'll see if that's able to get any value with the crowd control that it provides in some of these fights. But for now, we will just have to wait and see. He does
sells the Kha'Zix, I believe that was there, in favor of the Mystics with a Janna 2. Yeah, that's not bad. Definitely not bad. Wants to put the Swordbreaker on Nami, opting not to have her with the extra starting mana, but gives that to Janna instead. But the Singe just going to town.
Run into Sphinx. That's a big Malphite ultimate coming across, but the tidal wave from Nami able to keep the enemy composition controlled. This is a soulbound composition coming from Sphinx right now, and that Lucian is absolutely pumping, but finally goes down. It's a 1v1, but pretty sure this tier 2 Kindred that has been on the board since the beginning gonna take down. Infurrier able to stay alive though.
Definitely a close fight there. Aries TFT does go down in 6th place, unfortunately. The battle for, you know, the 6th through 3rd, even through 2nd now is extremely close. So these players just looking to hold on one round at a time. But speaking of Amumu here, we see Teebs with a tier 2 Amumu and I believe a tier 2 Taric as well. Tier 2 Nami, so many tier 2 legendary units. Very, very fortunate for her being able to find all of those, but it seems that the Zyra only at tier 2 is still able to carry at this point in the game.
Yeah, but she's running into the blender. We've got Faye's Nocturne going in, but that's a massive Taric ultimate, actually keeping all her units alive for now, but the Nocturne going off, finally going to go down, and Teebs is actually going to deal quite a bit of damage to Faye here, maybe even taking her out. Yeah, it will. Teebs going to stay alive. That Taric ultimate was huge. Able to save all of her units there from the blender, keep them out of there. And,
that was massive. Holy moly. Kladeous falling in 5th and Faye falling in 4th. Both players were eliminated very, very close to each other there. But no, that Taric had so much value. It was insane. The Nocturne just hitting away at that immunity. And then I believe he got 2 ults off even. Then Amumu, when Amumu gets ranked up from tier 1 to tier 2, his ultimate does increase in radius and was able to stun that Nocturne after the Taric ult expired. So some good synergy there. Definitely between those two.
How big that value was because that Nocturne was in such a good position. It was placed in between like 4 or 5 units, ready to cleave them all down, and Taric denied it all. Really, really huge there to have that tier 2 Taric and get that ultimate off, able to save Teebs from the blender. And, we'll see it. Teebs comp seems very powerful. It might be able to take this whole lobby. I mean, she's on a win streak right now.
Maybe. I mean, Infurrier here did find the Zed for 3 electric, and that is extremely important. That was the unit that Infurrier was looking for so long, but just happened to find the Singed first. Is facing the Ghost of Teebs, but still might fall to it.
Yeah, we got the
It's going to be
Terracall coming
close.
in. That's going to keep everything alive. The knockup coming across from Nami. We're looking at that Zed in the background, but it does fall down. So now it's all up to Singed and Nami to try and finish off this little bit of damage. And I think the Singed will be able to. No, it doesn't. And the Ghost is actually able to take Infurrier down. So Teebs, also beating Sphinx at the same time, is looking primed to take this lobby.
Definitely so. That was such a good thing for Teebs there, being able to take out Infurrier at the same time, as well as beating Sphinx, really solidifying herself as probably the strongest in the lobby. I'm not sure if Sphinx already had the tier 3 Kindred or not though yet. So definitely want to look at this next fight very closely. The Malphite has a locket for a bit of extra tankiness for the front line, but Teebs' composition is so strong still.
Yeah, Sphinx hands off the keyboard, just looking to see what happens here. We got the Taric ult coming down, actually is going to complete. Tidal Wave coming across, hitting everybody. Taric's going to fall before getting another one off. We're trying to look at that Kindred, but it looks like it's falling too fast. Soulbound unit's going to die off as well here, and that's going to do it for that round. Sphinx will stay alive, though. A couple, well, looking like maybe one more chance at this before he actually falls. Sphinx composition is looking way too strong right now. I'm not sure what Sphinx can do. I mean, do you have anything that you think could turn this around?
Positioning, that's probably the only thing. Either rolls and gets lucky, finds Momo 2, or tries to reposition and have that be the difference. I mean, that round was still pretty close, but not to where it needed to be. And Sphinx is changing positioning a little bit here. Puts the Kindred in the corner. She's going to be hitting the Annie, I believe, first of all. Yeah, takes that out before the Timber.
That's huge. Takes out the Nautilus very quickly, too. We're going to see that Taric ultimate come down and protect a couple more units. Nami might be able to get one more tidal wave off because of that, but we see the Kindred's actually alive this time, able to stay up for a while, but the Malphite with the unstoppable force coming across. Kindred trying to kite as much as she can, and I think she will. That's just a couple little ghouls, but no! The little ghouls take down the Kindred just barely. Oh, no!
Oh, you hate
goal.
to see it.
Oh, Sphinx. Oh, it is too bad, but Teebs able to take the first lobby. Oh, that's ghouls right there, baby. That's ghouls. That's Yorick ghouls coming out clutch. Teebs able to come take the first lobby. I know the last time we had Teebs on, I know she had not quite the performance she would have wanted. And this time starting off strong with a victory in the first lobby, getting a first place on the board.
Definitely, that is huge. I mean, Teebs' composition looked extremely strong there. You don't usually see a lot of 4 Warden carried into the late game, but, you know, new patch, new things to try, and Teebs definitely made that composition look extremely powerful, taking out the Kindred 3 of all units there. It was pretty close at the end, not gonna lie, but still managed to clutch that one out, and that was huge to start her off here. With, I believe, 13 points. Yes, as we look at the very neatly organized leaderboards here. Yo, shout out to Jules for getting this. It's very, very nice for us as casters here. But Teebs in first place, 13 points. Sphinx in second with 12. Infurrier, Faye, Kladeous, Aries, Driving Light, and Jinxed down the line there. Wow, that was a very, very exciting game 1. I wonder what we're going to come up with in game 2.
I want to point out that, like you mentioned, the only thing Sphinx could do would be to reposition, and the reposition he got off almost made the difference. It was really quick to just grab that Kindred, get it in the corner. It was able to take out the Annie and the Nautilus almost instantly, almost able to turn around. And I mean, that's what we expect out of Sphinx. Amazingly consistent player from the last fight night and already starting off with the second place. So proving to be a strong contender once again.
Definitely so. I mean, all of these players are very, very strong contenders. This you know, relative strength levels are extremely close. So being able to be consistent in a lobby such as this definitely speaks to a player's talent. And that is something that hopefully Sphinx will keep up here tonight. Maybe going to be, you know, the back-to-back champion. But not if Teebs has anything to say about that, because Teebs still did take him out there and is looking to carry that momentum into game number 2 here.
Absolutely, and it was such an interesting comp from Teebs. Definitely one that's hard to replicate, of course. It had a lot of tier 2 legendary units in that composition. But if you can get there, seems like you want to get there because that composition looked unstoppable.
It very much so. I mean, the Taric doing just that, making it impossible for anything to die there. We do have a different element this map. We have the Cloud map, which does give 20% dodge to standing in there. Cloud synergy did recently just get buffed, so we might see players go towards finding a Kiana plus either Yasuo or Janna for that 2 Cloud synergy. You know, we said mages are a little bit less prioritized in this meta, which means that things like auto attackers are a bit higher, more highly prioritized, making Cloud synergy that much better. Maybe something to keep an eye on this game. But
yeah, absolutely. You might see the return of the Frozen Fist, the Iceborne Gauntlet, coming back a little bit more on this map. Definitely, you mentioned Predators are strong once again. We did see a lot of the Skarner with that early on in the Rise of the Elements. Maybe we'll see a return of that. Haven't seen it in a little while.
Yeah, Skarner a very, very good unit. In fact, crystals are one of the better, best things to deal with that blender composition, as crystals can only take either 100 or 60 damage, depending on how many you have, per attack. So things like Nocturne that are going to be critting and dealing tons of damage will deal heavily reduced damage there to the Predator's composition there with the Skarner.
Yeah, and well, Cloud map seems to be the perfect time to have that kind of thing. So we'll see if anybody kind of ends up seeing their luck of the draw, ending up on those Predators with that Skarner. Maybe we see some hyper rolling Predators as well. A couple different options.
Maybe. I am of the opinion that Predators are the strongest composition this patch. You know, I've only played the patch for, a day and a half, so not 100% sure, but they definitely look to be like one of the front-running compositions so far. But we have still 3 more games to go to see if anyone can challenge that notion. We already saw the 4 Wardens. Maybe we'll even see some Berserkers. We'll definitely be seeing some Blade Master Assassins, as someone did pick up a Spatula already this game, but there's still so much that players can show here.
Yeah, we see the classic Druid Woodland start for Infurrier here. Been kind of a staple of Rise of the Elements just for that early game power. Try and get a couple wins on the board.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm curious if Jinx makes Locket here, and he does. So players have been starting to make a Locket for an early game power spike to win streak a lot recently, and it's something that I haven't personally played around with a lot, but I do definitely see the power of it. Giving a shield to all of your units early game and granting a little bit of extra ability power and armor on a unit like, Renekton here is going to be very, very strong for your early game.
Yeah, and Renekton, tier 2 already for Jinx. We've talked about him a couple times in the fact that he is one of those stronger early game units. As you mentioned, he was nerfed, but it definitely feels like in the situations where he was good before, he's still just as good as ever.
Definitely so. Yeah, very much still strong in the early game. Carrying Jinx to 20 gold here. Only having 2 items right now, but they're items that he is okay with. Levels up to 4 and still has 20 gold to work with. So probably will look to be around 50 gold around the Krug. So this might be a fast level 8 game for Jinx, depending on his mid-game strength. Definitely something that is appealing for a lot of players if they're looking for those legendary units like Zed, Singe, but maybe now even the Taric and a Mumu. Mumu not very good, obviously, as a 1 star, but as a 2 star, I mean, that was in the winning composition last game with Teebs' composition.
Yeah, it was. We do see here a couple Wardens for Kladeous. We haven't seen a lot of Wardens overall right now in the early game. Starting off with the tier 2 Ornn, tier 2 Nasus. Looks like it will fall to this Woodland Druid composition.
Yeah.
Tier 2 Ivern. Just
that Maokai one is just not dying.
Yeah, it won't. Well, it's just a couple Wardens. They're not doing any damage actually. They're just kind of chilling, and he's just
yeah,
it's a wet noodle fight up there. I mean, definitely it looks like Ivern is just throwing wet noodles at the enemy, but You know, it's just the way she goes sometimes.
Sometimes that was 4 Talias on that roll from Kladeous there, I believe. So maybe what you want to see, but maybe not what you want to see there. Still there, so probably not what you wanted to see.
He's thinking about it. Yeah, he goes for
Let's
it.
pick them up. Isn't playing them though. It is carousel round, so players will look to econ with the unit that they get from the carousel, but choose to just sell the Kog'Maws anyway.
maybe Kladeous is just thinking if he sees a Malphite, he'll play.
Yeah, probably. Just as there in case.
Yeah, because the mountain synergy is pretty nice. Definitely, I feel like in the early game, it definitely helps out quite a bit. It's just a massive shield. So just hanging on to that Talia. Think about it later. Come back to it. Didn't hurt his econ at all to have it. So
just just let the idea ruminate for a little bit. You can always sell it later. Not a big commitment for now. But Jinx, though, with that locket, is still in first place, but tied with 2 other players, actually, Infurrier and Teebs, all sitting at 100 HP. Teebs, though, wins that 50-50, getting that 3rd pick instead of last pick, though. Let's see what player's going to pick up here on the carousel.
Yeah, another spatula up right now. Sphinx.
Lying it. Is it? Yeah. Okay, there we go.
He does want it. He does, in fact, want the spatula. We'll have to see Sphinx's comp right now. I'm not sure I know what he's running yet, but maybe he will look for that blender as well, now that he's got a spatula. Who had picked up the original spatula this game? I'm trying to...
I'm not sure. I have to check in.
There was one on the opening carousel.
There definitely was. There definitely was.
So we'll have to see who has that. If it was...
I think Aries,
so Aries has the first spatula. So we'll see if he goes blender as well. Sphinx, of course, already has the Nocturne with the Ginsu's, so that's really exactly... What? Why was he hesitant? Please explain.
I'm actually so confused right now for multiple reasons. So, he was hesitant on taking the spatula, but had already committed to making a Rage Blade, putting a sword on the Nocturne. Maybe he was going to look to put those items elsewhere, but I'm confused as to where else he might have put those items, seeing as these are perfect Nocturne items. Maybe he just didn't really expect to find that spatula and get it as a 2nd pick in the carousel, as generally spatulas are picked up on the first sort of go around there between the first 2 players. But that option is there now.
Yeah,
that option is definitely there.
We see Aries with the patented Blade Master Talia, as we saw in the previous game as well.
Interesting.
I still can't think of a reason why. I guess Talia, just because it's a unit you're gonna sell. I guess that's like the whole reason behind it is it's just like, I will definitely sell this unit. So
a tier 2 unit that you're for sure gonna sell. I mean, that's the reasoning.
Yes, it makes sense. It just looks so wrong. But it makes sense for sure. Faye actually picking up the Predators this time. We do see a Skarners. Skarner is rocking a tier. So we might have something happen with that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Thieves Gloves.
Yeah, it was the Thieves Gloves, making the Zeeks and the tier there. But yeah, Faye looks like she's going to hyper roll for Predators. I think Predators, obviously, as I stated earlier, is a very, very strong composition. So going to be seeing the relative power here versus these blender compositions and versus whatever else these players will come up with.
Yeah, going against one of the blenders right now. I expect her to lose this one, of course. Falling level 5 on Sphinx, already has that Nocturne with some decent items on him, if I do say so.
Definitely. The blender's on low power, but low power was enough for that round.
It's on pulse right now, but we'll, it's starting to get there. Getting a couple pulses in, and we'll see where it goes from there. Striving Light going up to 5 here. It's got a couple wardens, couple electric.
This is interesting. The only time I really see a Braum being made is either when players will go for Rangers with Ezreal, Ranger, Shadow, Warden, I think is a composition that can be run right now, or if you're going Berserkers and an Olaf for that Glacial, maybe going to save those items there, 2 gloves and 2 tiers for a Hand of Justice on an Olaf. We'll have to see, though. Striving Light 30 gold here, a respectable amount, but not really as much as some of these healthier players, I suppose.
Yeah, I would like to see the Olaf come out, see kind of a Berserker comp. You were telling me that some people have gone kind of experimented with like a 6 Berserker, and I think that'd just be interesting to watch, interesting to see how it performs in this tournament setting. But we'll have to see if that is what the cards hold for Striving Light. Gonna have to get offered that before you can go into that, of course.
Definitely. I'd like to see the Volibear being played here, even over the Vladimir, just based off of how strong that electric is in this meta. I mean, Vladimir 2 is a 2-star unit, but it's not going to be doing as much damage as 2 separate units dealing 100 damage per critical strike, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that would be kind of the move at this point, just to try and clear out a couple units, make sure you're taking less damage right now, as Striving Light has fallen to 73, one of the lower HP players currently. But I mean, it's yet another wet noodle fight as all these wardens out here just slapping each other.
Yeah, wet noodle fight, but less damage on the side of Striving Light there, unfortunately.
The Vlad,
unless the Vlad can do it. No. There's still the Zyra alive.
This is a Morello Zyra. The Vlad's not going to be doing anything here.
It's actually a double Morellos. I didn't quite notice that at the beginning of that. That was a Nasus Morellos and a Zyra Morellos. So
I didn't see the Nasus.
Yeah.
Oh, good
committing catch. Both of those. Very interestingly enough, and I believe those teams who had 2 Nikos on the bench there, so high HP right now may look to go fast 8 and find a legendary unit, double Nikos it. I mean, that's just at that point going to be unfair almost for these other players.
Right. There is the double Nico. Yeah, that's definitely. Oh, I feel like that'd be so good. Just get that fast 8. I mean, she had that stack of legendary units in the last game. I mean, maybe we see it again. I mean, 2 Nikos is a good start for that.
I mean,
especially because you can go that fast 8 and feel comfortable that you're still going to be strong because you get a tier 2 legendary unit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 Morellos is kind of screaming, hey, I want a Singed. Maybe we'll be able to find another unit and be happy with it. I'm not quite sure, though. The options are definitely limited in terms of items. Not quite strong enough to beat Jinxed here. Jinxed, that early locket, is still serving him very, very well here. That Nasus is pretty huge, actually.
Teebs wasn't, Teebs wasn't on a win streak either, so not a huge deal, only losing a little bit of HP. Would love to obviously start a win streak, but at least not losing too much econ there. Finding that Nasus, as you said, huge. Has that Morello's, gonna be able to stay alive a lot longer and apply that dot. Kladeous here, got 3 Shadow. A couple Rangers right now.
Yeah,
it's an Ashe.
Ashe, a bit more, you know, I know we memed Ashe before previously on Fight Nights, but Ashe isn't Ashe isn't a true meme anymore because of the prominence of Crystal, with Tarek and Skarner being so good, especially versus Blender. But putting it in just for 2 Rangers is interesting. It's seeming to work out here versus Faye, at least. Faye has hit the tier 3 Kog'Maw, but is still not quite enough to take wins right now.
That got pretty close, actually. It was looking really bad for Faye, and at the very end of there, Kog'Maw got off a couple of those artilleries and was able to take down a couple units. Keep the damage a little bit low onto Faye, but the fruits of the hyper roll turned into a T3 Kog'Maw, but it didn't look like much more. We'll have to take a look at her board to see where she's at on those predators.
Yeah, indeed. There is an Olaf spatula there that was taken by Striving Light.
Exactly who we were talking about getting an Olaf.
Definitely. So maybe she will decide to put that Olaf into play. I mean, 43 HP right now before the Wolf round, not really where you want to be at. Maybe we'll make something happen with that, though.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at Striving Light's comp as well here and see where that puts her on synergies, because the Olaf is going to be that Berserker with the Glacial. And so we'll have to see. It's going to be the 2 Glacial there.
Maybe even making a Berserker, potentially with that spatula. Not quite sure. I mean, she's thinking about it. Yeah, does indeed do it.
Yeah, Berserker.
Puts it on the Braum. I would definitely still like to see electric here. Ooh, she did decide actually to make the Seraphs and put that on the Malphite. So no Hand of Justice, at least not yet for this Olaf.
Yeah, the Seraph's gonna help the Malphite get his Unstoppable Force off, try and provide a little bit of crowd control, a little bit of extra damage. We'll see if the Olaf can do much as a tier 1 unit. Nothing yet, just gonna go down right away.
The Blender.
Yeah, falling victim to the Blender of Aries. Definitely gonna be a lot of damage going down onto Striving Light. She's dropping pretty low, down to 33 HP. Aries tying himself up with her there.
Yeah. Unfortunate that both players are so low, but Aries at least seems to be stabilizing. Only has the tier 1 Nocturne, but it seemed to be at least enough during that round. Faye has a lot of gold here and is still rolling. Probably.
Did Faye hyper roll? Well, how low did she
I think
roll?
so.
Not too low then if she's already back up to 50 gold.
Yeah, generally you can roll down to 20 to 30, probably to 30 she rolled there with how much gold that she just had right now.
With
but
the mix of how much gold she has and how few predators she actually has on the bench, I would assume she didn't roll that far. I feel like she probably hit that Kog'Maw pretty quickly,
and then stopped. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that is a play style that Faye does gravitate towards in hyper rolling. If she does pick up one of those 3 stars and isn't close to any others, she will stop and save money. So that's probably what happened indeed this game. But maybe needed to roll more or at least go for the level up because she is at 38 HP right now before Wolves. Pretty low indeed. And speaking of low, Striving Light, that Olaf isn't really doing that much right now as she is sitting at 18 currently.
Yeah, dropping even lower. Definitely falling in that kind of danger zone of being able to basically die at any moment. I mean, 18 obviously is going to keep her alive for a couple more rounds. I mean,
yeah,
probably 2 minimum if she gets very unlucky. But we'll see if any items here can help turn this around. And she's got quite a bit of gold that I expect we'll see her start rolling through shortly.
Definitely. I mean, she needs some items here, and that's good right now. Yeah, definitely some items. Hopefully one more here, but doesn't hit it. That's probably either a Rage Blade or I don't know, Rage Blade or Runans, but I don't know. The items that she got earlier with those 2 tiers really wasn't what she wanted to see. She is rolling pretty fast here for upgrades.
Yeah, levels first and then starts rolling down.
Yeah, I like this play. Definitely wants to find the Olaf too. The rolls keep coming through. Another one, Malphite. She hit that. That's good.
Though.
Puts the Thresh in. Yeah. I would definitely like to see. I mean, that Ornn is only a tier 1 Ornn, but still the electric might get a bit of value there. Just does decide to just make the Dragon Claw. It will be the most value that she has right now with those items, and has to do something, being 18 HP right now.
Saved the Olaf from dying to Kiana, and now Olaf's still alive, putting out damage.
Ooh.
Finally goes down, but actually was able to mitigate a little bit of extra damage due to that item. Able to save probably about 2 or 3 more damage onto her, which maybe makes a difference later on. As we talked about, 2 rounds was kind of the timer that she's on right now, so we'll see if they can help her hang on any longer than that. I mean, being at 7 HP definitely
probably will fall. Yeah. Definitely probably will fall in the next loss, but hopefully she can stabilize there. Infurrier looking to go a sort of summoner assassin route here with the Azir, the Yorks, and the Kha'Zix and the Kiana on the bench. So is very, very healthy, in fact. So just looking to find those units to transition his composition into the late game here. Might lose a few rounds starting now, but that's okay given the I guess imminence of this transition here.
Yeah, of course, a lot of units on the bench, as you mentioned, getting ready for that big swap over, and then we'll see the power that he is at then. For now, sitting on that Varus, a lot of items there.
Not a lot of front line, though. There's really only a Malphite 1 in the front here. I think maybe Annie could also be frontlined. Okay, decides to put 4 Ocean, 2 Wardens in, but they are still tier 1 Wardens. Changing a little bit here. Okay, puts Mountain in instead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Overall,
I do agree with that.
yeah, it's gonna give more tankiness than those Wardens probably would. It's gonna go on to the Varus though, so it's not gonna help the front line at all. But hopefully the Varus staying alive longer is able to help him out. We get a Tibbers going down as the Varus able to stay alive due to the mountain for a little bit longer, able to pick up 1 more kill. So gonna save a couple HP for Infurrier, and as you mentioned, is expecting to eat a few losses right now.
Definitely check in with Striving Light here. She has hit the Olaf too, so has stabilized with that 4 Warden, 3 Berserker, 4 Glacial. This might be able to get her into a top 4 scenario, but still has to get very fortunate in the matchups going into the future. A lot of these players at high HP are leveraging their HP as a resource to be able to get stronger, so maybe she can make it till Raptors round.
Yeah, and with this format that we have, it's all about just placing as high as you can. Not always about if you can get first or not. You just need to make sure that you place highly. So is there any kind of strategy that you could employ that you think maybe wouldn't allow you to get a first, and it might even get rid of your chances of getting first, but it's a higher percentage to get a higher placement?
Well, I think she's done just that already. I mean, if you look at her gold, it was near 0 before the economy phase, I suppose, of this round started. She rolled down, hit a lot of the upgrades, still is on, you know, a Ezreal 1 and a Volibear 1, but rolled down, hit that Olaf, and I think that's why she's been able to pick up those past 2 wins. Going to level 8 is really, really far off from her, but she's done what she needs to stabilize and try to get this game to be a top 4.
And this is probably one of the better people to run into with Infurrier, as he is in the middle of his transition, so he's not going to be very strong. And I think Striving Light should be able to take this pretty easily. This Olaf definitely going to just run through the composition. And that's going to be kind of a breath of fresh air, a bit of a reprieve from a lot of the scarier opponents at the moment. Gonna get her another round, buying Striving Light 1 more turn to try and keep this comp getting stronger and stronger.
1 more turn, but she needs 1 more after that to last until the Raptors round. Maybe get that Olaf 1 more item. But Faye also falls very, very low here. Finds a Taric. That's pretty good. She's still rolling though, isn't feeling comfortable with her power level as she is on a 2 loss streak currently. Just rolling all of her gold down. Finds some Skarners, is looking for that Skarner 3. Was 1 more there.
Finds the Nocturne 2 as well. Looking for those Rek'Sais as well, very close to the Rek'Sai 3.
Facing Striving Light. Someone falls here.
Yeah, someone's probably going down. I mean, there is a chance that someone doesn't, but I don't expect that to be the case. We see the Kog'Maw is getting people low, and then we're going to start seeing them drop like
the
flies.
Taric.
The Taric ult going to come out, stopping the Olaf from getting any more kills, and the Kog'Maw is just going to be able to try and finish him off here. But no, he's continuing to lifesteal and stay alive. He's going to stay alive all the way. And will he take Faye out? No, they both live.
I spoke too soon.
A small chance that they might both stay alive, and they do. The small sliver of RNG to find that outcome. Oh my gosh, and Faye has another kind of chance at life here.
Yeah, that was...
Stay in it. The tier 3 Skarner is found. Can she find the Rek'Sai as well? Big spikes coming up with the tier 2 Nocturne coming in as well. Oh my gosh.
If she had that Skarner 3 going to that round, she for sure would have won it. But fortunately, going down to 2 HP means that she lives another day. Kladeous fell extremely low from that round, going down to 6 HP. Man, this game's a doozy. It's real close. We see 4th place through 8th place right now, 16 HP or under. What's gonna happen?
I expect we're gonna start seeing people drop like flies starting
right now.
and we will have to see who can hold on to their points here. All they're trying to do is just cling on for one more round to try and
Kladeous
score
versus
more points in this
Teebs.
format.
Mumu 2 and Nami 2 inside of Teebs.
Yeah,
That fast 8.
Yep, fast 8, able to use the Nico. She actually has one more Nico available.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. And so far, Kladeous is winning this round, but we do see the Nami still alive in the back line, as well as the Zyra pumping out a lot of damage with the summoners, and that's going to do it for Kladeous, as that gets turned around really quickly with all that extra damage. Kladeous is out first, I think.
Yeah,
Faye going to stay alive on 2. Winning that round handedly against Infurrier, who seems like their transition has not gone as smoothly as they would have hoped, and they're kind of hemorrhaging HP right now.
Yeah, I believe Aries was the blender player. So just found a Kiana too, as we saw there, but needs to find some other just some other upgrades right now. Yeah, Teebs, I believe at one point I was gonna mention earlier, but we were talking about something else. Teebs actually found 3 Nico's help in this game, so I believe she used 2 already on that Nami and a Mumu, but still has 1 left over.
We're gonna see the assassins dive onto this Nami. We're gonna see the tidal wave come across. The assassins jumping around trying to find some kills. That's a big monsoon from the Janna. But are we going to see enough damage coming out? The assassins are killing off her units too quickly, and it looks like a lot of the units are still alive to deal damage to Teebs. Will it take her down? It's going to be close.
Exact damage there.
Exact lethal onto Teebs.
Man.
She's going to fall down in 6. You hate to see it.
Wait.
It's so close. What?
Another player's
Aries is going to go down. Faye barely staying alive. Oh my gosh. The Predators going at each other. And Faye continuing to place high in this fight night, just making sure she has these consistent placements. At minimum, getting 4th, but I think she'll beat Infurrier here. I think her comp is strong enough, and Infurrier has just been losing HP so fast right now. I mean, we're going to have to
3 lockets there.
Take down any of these other... Who has 3 lockets?
I believe that was...
there it is!
Yeah, Jinxed.
Jinxed has 3 lockets right now. They all go off. We see if he can do anything against Faye's composition of Predators. Assassin jumping in. Faye's Taric proc's going to stay alive a little bit longer. We see the Soulbounds going down to the blender as we get the... Nocturne going to kill off a couple more. And we got the Predators taking them down. Not so much a blender as kind of... like hand chopped with a single Nocturne out there. Definitely taking a lot longer to kill off units than the Blade Master variant.
Yeah, that was an explosive last couple of rounds there. So the round before this past one, we did have Striving Light eliminated in 7th, the Olaf not being able to do enough there, and then Teebs with the tier 2 Mumu and tier 2 Nami wasn't quite enough, and Aries with the blender composition also was not enough, which is really interesting to me because these top compositions, like obviously Predators, I think is the strongest right now, but you know, that double locket, triple locket with the Thieves Gloves from Jinxed, as well as I actually want to check in with Sphinx and Infurrier briefly here to see what they are running exactly.
Okay. Faye as well. She just got that Singe too.
Yeah, that is huge. Sphinx with the Summoner Sins and Infurrier with Summoner, also Summoner Sins. Okay, so yeah, 2 very, very strong compositions, and a Z2 out of Infurrier here facing Faye.
Yeah, I think Faye should be able to take this. I mean, the Singe 2 on top of an already very strong Predator comp. The Taric buying so much time in a lot of these fights, but there's a lot of these summons coming out right now, but the Kog'Maw continuing to fire away. We'll see if he can stay protected by this Singed, as long as these, oh my gosh, also the Skarner is just so incredibly tanky. I thought he was going to die so much earlier, but he keeps getting those ultimates off and those shields and just able to keep staying alive and tanking in that front line, allowing this Kog'Maw to just keep pressuring and pumping out the damage. And Faye's Predators are keeping her in this. I really expect she might place even higher. Definitely seems to be the strongest composition right now.
Definitely agree, but that is a Shadow Lux 2 with triple AP items from Jinxed there. I'm not sure if that's going to be able to kill the crystals that Faye has, but all of the other units, I mean, goodbye. That's 6 Shadows, Lux
That's
2. I want to see this.
that's a pickup right there for sure. Let's see how this turns out. We're gonna see
Okay,
that
Lux.
final spark come out from the Lux. And,
Ooh.
okay, we'll go ahead and see if we get another one. Gonna take about half of
Okay.
Timber's HP, but it looks like it might have done enough because this Lux should be able to get one more final spark off to clean up
that
the
was
rest of his
4,000
board.
damage.
Yep, that'll do it there. Jinxed gonna clean that one away, wipe off the hands and, go on to the next round, see what this dragon's got to offer for him. Yeah,
that's
that
a
looks
trap claw.
terrifying.
Yeah, that Lux ult, I believe, did 4,320 damage or something around there. That was pretty freaking insane, to say the least. Jinxed has scaled, has played with his economy and HP as a resource very, very efficiently, very smart here. Is able to get 3 Summoners, 2 Mystics, and 6 Shadows, 2 Soulbounds into this composition. I can't really fault this at all. Like, this looks perfect, if I might say so.
Yeah, it's Faye's composition has looked so strong, but I just don't see it beating this 6 Shadow composition with this tier 2 Lux. I mean, there has to be a way she'd have to position to kill off this Lux. If this Lux goes down, then I think the composition does fall apart somewhat, at least to the extent that I think Faye's composition would win. But if the Lux stays alive for multiple final sparks, I don't see a way to beat Jinx because it will just be fragging units off of your board.
It depends on one of 2 things. The Lux could fall over if the units are able to get to it. Maybe this Nocturne or Kog'Maw has something to say about that. But if the Lux also ults a crystal unit, that will be not very good for Jinx. So we'll have to look and see what exactly the Lux will
lineup
target
right now.
here.
I think it's gonna hit Kog'Maw. No, it turns and hits nobody. That's awful for Jinx right now. And the Singe is in the backline getting damage down. We'll have to see the next Lux one. But I looked away for a second and Kog'Maw had died to a Zyra plant. I think that's going to cost it for Faye. I don't think she's going to be able to hang on and keep hiding in the corner, but she will go down.
That was such a strong composition, but the 6 Shadows, I didn't even see how Kog'Maw fell.
I looked down, looked back up, Kog'Maw was gone. I saw a plant there. That's the only explanation I've got for it, is that it went down to a plant. We'll have to see if we can get some kind of a confirmation on that from Chad or somebody, but I did not see how the Kog'Maw died. I was paying attention to the Lux, and I looked away for 1 second, and that Kog'Maw disappeared.
It's hard not to pay attention to that Lux, let's be fair. That's a Death Cap double locket Lux 2 with 6 Shadows. I mean,
with sneaky cosplay Lux too.
With sneaky cosplay, it distracts me every time. I just can't look
really
away.
Difficult. And
oh yeah, look at that.
Damn, look at 10,000 damage. Okay, Jinx. All right, you did it. You played as Khroen said. Perfect. You made it to perfect. Perfecto. Perfect composition.
Jinxed had the double lockets, and his composition was like, okay, this is pretty good for the early to mid game. I wasn't quite convinced myself personally that it would transition well into the late game, but finding those Luxes, I mean, I did see him at some point during the mid to late game holding 2 Shadow Luxes on the bench, so I'm like, I wonder what the transition is from here. Obviously, maybe wants to look for that 6 Shadow, but sold both of the locket units and put that on the Lux, and it was just so dominant from there. Like, huge, well played, congrats to Jinxed for that game. It doesn't quite jump up to the top 4 as it had a bit of a poor placement the first game. Infurrier, in fact, 22 points in first place, very consistent with a 3rd and then a 2nd. Sphinx, the defending champion, in 2nd place currently. Teebs, pretty good performance, obviously, in the first game. A little bit of a lacking one in the 2nd, 18 points, tied with Faye. Jinxed in 5th with 16, Aries in 6th with 11, and then Kladeous in 7th, and Striving Light in 8th currently. Would definitely want to see her pull it back in these next 2 games, but we are going to head to a quick 5-minute break. Stay with us. Make sure to get those bits and tips in for all the players to help support all of us here tonight, the production, and especially the players. They've really given it their all tonight so far and are going to continue to in these next couple of games. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's Heroes Hearth TFT Fight Night. We have already gotten a very exciting couple of games so far, so I'm excited to see who can bring it back or who can keep it consistent going to the next two games. I always ask this question, so I will keep it consistent, Kaz. Who are you looking for in these next couple of games to really pull it out here?
You know, Faye is kind of consistent, sitting at that fourth
Hmm.
place, third place. But
Yeah,
Infurrier has just been so consistent in the first two games, kind of coming out of nowhere. So I'm keeping eyes there. Jinxed was able to pull himself back into the running, I feel like, with that
definitely.
first place. Gonna keep himself kind of relevant. But if Infurrier can keep up the consistency, a lot of people can't catch up to the points he's at right now. So I think it's going to be in between Infurrier and Sphinx. I think the most surprising thing we're seeing here is actually Striving Light down at the bottom of the table right now. But I did see a tweet from her saying that the current meta, she was very uncomfortable playing a lot of the comps, and a lot of the comps that she loved playing had gotten nerfed. So she was definitely like worried coming in about how she would adapt to the meta this early on. So with a little bit more time, we might see Striving Light back on top. But yeah, looking at these standings, Infurrier, I think he's gonna take it. He's got very consistent finishes. Who's your who do you think's got it?
Well, who do I think's got it? I don't know. That's a hard question. I'm not sure. But actually, a player that I wanted to focus on a little bit for a second is Teebs. Teebs came out in game number one, really, really swinging, had that first place. And in game two, it looked like she was very, very strong. Had a couple legendary 2-2 units. So I think she played that pretty well. Maybe just got a bit unlucky in that matchup. I'm not quite sure. But did get eliminated in sixth place. But I know that she's been grinding very, very hard recently, looking to improve immensely. And, she's made it to Masters Challengers. So she is very, very good. I want to see another first place performance from her again. And I think that she very much can do it. That being said, as you said earlier, Striving Light being uncomfortable a little bit with this meta. I know she favored a lot of ocean mages on the previous patch, but that composition is pretty much dead now. I mean, you can do a little bit of early game stuff for that, but definitely these players need to adapt, as we talked about earlier. And I
Yeah,
think we're
and
going
you
to
you
hop into game
mentioned
number 3 soon.
Yeah, we'll hop in soon. But you mentioned Teebs grinding a lot and getting a lot better. And we look at the last performance she had on Fight Night compared to this one, and it shows. I mean, she
Yeah.
leaps and bounds above the previous performance, playing very well in all these games, and kind of pulling out some different strategies that we don't see a lot of other players doing, which we love to see here on Fight Night, definitely. So excited to see what she can do with the rest of this. We're gonna see the fight for the spatula commence very soon here. Who's gonna grab it? It looks like Infurrier got it? Infurrier? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
believe
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yep,
there
yep,
it is. Yep.
yep. It was like people running on top of each other, so you don't really know who has it until everyone separates and dissipates. But was indeed an Infurrier, so maybe some blenders there. But yeah, no. Going back to Teebs here, yeah, I think Teebs reached out to a lot of players. There's a Discord full of a bunch of very, very highly rated challenger players, and I think Teebs reached out and there was like, hey guys, like my placement's a little bit consistent, but what can I really do to improve? And she's a very, very good player from a bunch of different games. Hearthstone, she was a professional or semi-professional in, so she is a very, very good player. Was able to take that feedback, and it really, really shows, especially here tonight, getting that first place victory. And I think she has what it takes to get another first and maybe even take this competition tonight.
Yeah, and we will have to see. We've got a couple lights here for Kladeous. Don't know if it'll actually go anywhere, because we haven't seen a whole lot of light. But you did talk about light shadow being an interesting composition, and we've yet to really see that in tonight's fight night. We've seen, of course, the Soulbound, which
Hmm.
is kind of, of course, light shadow, but we haven't seen a full kind of light shadow composition. So maybe we'll see if Kladeous continues to find these lights in the early game, gets a couple T2 units and holds on to these. Maybe we'll see something like that come out.
Maybe. I mean, maybe just full lights would be the play as well. I mean, it's two Nasus, a Jax, and a Vayne. I know a lot of players don't really like going full lights, but it is a composition that if you high roll can indeed work out. So I'll have to check in with Kladeous later to see what route that he decides to go on this one. So look at Striving Light. She does have an early tier 2 Nasus. Has a Sivir with the makings of a lot of good Sivir items, actually. That's either a red buff or a disarm. Usually would prioritize the red buff and a Hush with that cloak, but disarm is still a good item on her nonetheless. Has a couple woodlands though here. Definitely a strong start so far.
Yeah, the woodland druid start that we tend to see. If people are offered it, just to kind of help out these early rounds, try and potentially kickstart a win streak and turn it into something else as quickly as possible. We do see offered a couple units there that she may want to pick up, but did not get to see them
woodland
too
there.
much. Yeah, I did see one woodland.
Jinxed here, electrics. Yeah. Electric Predators, yeah, does pick up, indeed. Something that does pick up that LeBlanc. Is not playing Woodlands here, though. Opts to play Deserts instead for now. Check in with Teebs with 2 Kianas early. We saw in the first game there was a Kindred 2 at 2-1. That was pretty high roll, but 2 Kianas right now is not too far off of that one. Kiana being a very strong unit. Oh yeah, look at that stun coming across 2 units there.
Here comes another one coming in, and a third potentially. Yep, gonna come out. That's a Dragon Claw from the gloves there.
Nasus couldn't play the game.
No, he could not.
Power of Kiana there.
Yeah, his team was dying. He was stuck top farming stacks, but came back down and just got crowd controlled the whole time.
So what is my team doing? They're just anything. I don't get it. But Sphinx here with some Renekton's. Maybe he's looking to sell for Econ here. There's another Sivir being held. It's interesting. I mean, Sivir did get buffed, and the blender composition is very strong right now, these Blade Master Assassins, but not really the items here. I mean, it has the bow.
It's a bonus sword.
Yeah, bonus sword. Definitely some decent items. I just know that a lot of players aren't really comfortable with taking a lot of early game damage on purpose to go for that spatula. There is one very highly rated European player, Allen's, who does go Blade Master Sin a lot and is comfortable with going that composition even if he doesn't start off with a spatula. Will just purposely, lose the first few rounds, econ, and look for that spatula on the first carousel. But it is risky because it's literally worse than a coin flip odds there that the spatula will even be there, and the 50-50 that it's on your side that you'll be able to pick it up.
Right, yeah, so it's definitely, as you said, worse than a coin flip. So definitely don't expect Sphinx to go for that. Sphinx tends to play, I feel, more conservatively. It's why his placements are so consistent. I mean, it's definitely, if you were to look at a graph of his placements on Fight Night, it would be a tight clump. It definitely would be very similar the entire time. Very good at staying within that, top 4 range. So taking big sweeping risks like that does not seem to be the style of Sphinx.
Definitely not. We see Faye here opting to put Predators in, is scouting other Predator players to see if she really wants to commit to this. She did play Predators last game, if you remember, with some pretty good success, was able to get into the top 3 and just barely getting taken out. I mean, not barely, but taken out by the Jinxed Shadow Lux too. But maybe feels confident about the strength of that composition here.
Yeah, it did definitely work out for Faye earlier. She doesn't have a whole lot of Predators on the bench right now, but as you said, she is scouting, seeing if anyone else is going for him, and maybe that will sway her decision to roll heavily into it. There's a Nocturne up on the board, but Faye
takes that spat.
Aries didn't want it, so Faye may be looking for Blender instead.
Yeah, Faye had a Nocturne in the shop, actually, in which you can still buy units from the shop even after the carousel. So no doubt maybe not no doubt, but it's definitely an option that she is aware of if she wants to transition into that. She had a bow already. She wasn't really committed to Predators, was scouting. Definitely is a very smart and talented player. So definitely is considering that at the very least.
I think that's a safe statement. I'll say it there's no doubt she will buy that Nocturne.
We'll see here. Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
It's a little close.
I'm willing to commit to that one. I will. I'll say it for you. We'll go there. Yeah, picking up that spatula, there's absolutely no way she's not going to go for the Nocturne. We've seen her go into Blender earlier today. We know it's a very powerful comp. So, of course, she's able to pick that up after grabbing that spatula. We'll see where she goes from there. But
committed.
For now,
Okay.
Yep.
Committed.
There's the commitment. I had no doubt in my mind, the entire time. That's where she was going.
I mean, it's not like Spatula gives you double stats anymore, so she could have just put the bow on the Nocturne and then waited. Maybe she found a roll with, like, I don't know, 5 Kog'Maws and was like, wait a minute, I want to go Kog'Maw, But unlikely, and I mean, Blender is one of the strongest compositions right now, so definitely a good choice there by Faye.
Yeah. Also, the expectation is that I'm going to be wrong, right? So I guess that's why Khroen has to not make as sweeping statements. But for me, everyone expects I'll just be wrong, so I can go ahead and say whatever I want about the characters.
I guess so. The liberties, so free. So free. Checking in with Striving Light here. 3 Predators in 3 Tier 2 units. This is a very good start for her. Did lose the last round, though. I think that was her first loss this game. Maybe. Either first or second. Not quite sure.
One of the very early rounds.
Yeah,
I don't think she lost 8 HP on the last round. She would have had to lose pretty hard to lose.
Yeah.
8 already.
And with her composition, unlikely that would have happened. Isn't level 5, though. A lot of players do level to level 5 on the previous round. Has already committed to making a redemption. A solid item there.
It's going to go
redemption value.
That's huge that it goes off here. We'll probably save a little HP. Probably will not allow her to win the round, but at least potentially kill off an extra unit. Maybe not even. The Thresh Shield being able to keep him alive for quite a long time. Maybe the Star is able to proc the Predator soon. Nope. Ended up not actually making a difference, I don't think, but still, nonetheless, made the fight a little bit more exciting to watch.
Definitely a little bit there. Wasn't quite sure what was happening. Checking with Teebs here. Definitely one of my favorites to, pull out another victory, and has committed to making Guardian's Angel Warwick. Still has the 2 Kianas. Is 100 HP with 40 gold. That is very strong right now, I think. Being able to econ as hard as she is currently. Has 2 Wardens, 2 Oceans. Has the Kindred maybe for a Kindred swap, or Shadows. Has the Senna as well for that too.
Yeah, I definitely expect that we will see her go towards Shadows unless we see her sell these off to get to econ faster. But I think the transition is looking like it wants to be towards those Shadows. Maybe she's waiting to see how much, if she gets gold off this round. Decide. A couple items so far, getting a BF and a chain vest, no gold, so does go exactly to 50 at the end of the round. Not able to sell up to additional econ. Gonna level to 6.
Yeah, a lot of players will wait until round 3-2 to level up. Because as you see here, Teebs has 2 extra experience, so it's kind of a bad interval, if you would say, to spend your gold on 3-1. But wants to protect that win streak, so I don't fault that play at all. If I was Teebs here,
yeah, I do generally like the play to protect the win streak, like going for that heavy snowball. I think TFT can be a very snowbally game, and kind of keeping ahead can help a lot. If you get unlucky, it definitely can punish you though. So it can be a little bit higher percentage to play it safe, go for the more economy, the better interval. But I do like the concept of trying to snowball your leads when you have them. So going up to 6 here, able to continue this win streak at 6 wins already. 100 HP, gonna try and hold on to that for as long as possible.
Definitely. It would have been very tragic if she would have lost that round, losing a bit of econ and losing the streak, but fortunately she was able to protect it, as her opponent that round did not level up to 6. And we're running the electrics that she was able to take out very quickly with those Kianas. Jinxed here, going to 6 on par with most of the rest of the lobby. has a couple of Ocean Mages on the bench and has a Nikos. Jinx, definitely a very smart player, one that is not opposed to going a fast 8, maybe finding a legendary unit with that Nikos. We'll have to see later on, but still is very strong currently with the 4 and now 5 win streak at 95 HP here. Yep, sells off those Oceans.
Definitely gonna win that round as well against Kladeous. Kladeous losing quite a bit of HP, dropping down to 67, tied with Sphinx near the bottom. Faye currently chilling, 58 HP. This has kind of been a common occurrence in the games tonight of Faye dropping very low, but climbing her way back up. I mean, she's gotten top 4 every single game so far. Not sure if that will change. I don't expect it to. I think she's a very consistent player, very good at TFT, and she's already got the makings of this blender starting up. She's cooking something up again.
I do. Oh man, I do want to say that one of the concerns I addressed earlier about this blender composition is that it is still very weak if all our units are tier 1. She just now picked up her first tier 2 unit of this composition, and you really are going to want to have a better transition than this. It will be very likely that Faye will still drop rounds. She doesn't have a lot of econ, and it's just not going to look good, I don't think, unless she gets really lucky on these next rolls here.
Runs into Striving Light. We're going to see if she can take this win down. The Cogmog going to fall quickly to the Assassins. The Blender's starting up as the Nocturne gets in a very good position here, but he might die a little bit too fast. No, he gets off one more little sweep. Probably able to kill off one more unit there, being able to get that off. And Faye only going to lose 6 HP. I don't think she's too upset about losing 6. I think that's okay, but when it's going to start to add up and it's going to get worse. So she definitely, as you said, needs to find these units. She doesn't have a lot of gold. Even arguably, I would say looking for them on the carousel could be a viable strategy if it's a Nocturne. That tier 2 Nocturne could be huge. Right now, she is able to grab the tier.
Here. That's very interesting decision there, because I think I thought she would have looked for a bow to make that item with a Rage Blade right now to have that power spike, but is looking to build Sivir items, and Sivir items are what's going to carry her to a top 4, top 3, maybe even top 1 position in this game. So she's really playing this greedy, and I guess she has to if she's going to win overall for tonight. Finds the Nocturne.
That's huge.
Yes. Extremely so. Puts the tier already on the Sivir. Wants to make that into a Hush. Most definitely. So hopefully she finds that on the Wolves here. These rounds are going to be tough though. A little easier. Again, now that this Nocturne has been upgraded. But there is still a long road ahead of Faye here.
Yeah, we'll probably be following her pretty closely throughout this game, as the composition she has the potential to win the game, or she could fall very quickly. It's just going to come down to where the rolls land. Right now, we see the Nocturne going into the backline. The tier 1 Sivir not able to do that much damage overall. These Electrics proccing, as well as these Berserkers dealing a lot of damage. Nocturne trying to hang on a little bit longer, going to get frozen.
Yeah.
8 more damage. These small little chips adding up onto Faye. She's down to 42 HP.
An unlucky Glacial proc there at the end finds an Aatrox. So fortunately, these upgrades are coming naturally, so she can econ a bit back up, but we see Faye to level 6 and 20 gold here. And if we check in with some of these players up at the top here, Infurrier, level 7, 20 gold. Not as much gold as some other players probably have, but still very high in terms of the amount of HP that he has right now. Is 4 Wardens, though. We see another 4 Warden mid-game. Maybe this will transition into 4 Warden, or keep being 4 Warden into late game? Not quite sure. Big Malphite out there.
Getting a big knock-up, and Diana's in a pretty good position to get out a lot of damage in this game as well.
Yeah.
The Warden's just so tanky right now into this composition. And yeah, that's going to be another win for Infurrier, continuing on this win streak. Sitting at the top of the table here, 89 HP.
Yeah, I'm seeing a trend here between 4 Wardens and being strong in the early to mid game. It seems to be one of the most powerful things that you can do, and you still have options to transition out of that later on into the game. But definitely with these Wardens being tier 2'd, at least most of them, there's only the Malphite not tier 2'd, but the couple Electrics in there as well with Ornn and Volibear. That's such a strong early game. Might be one of the best early games in the game, I think, just in terms of pure compositional wise.
Yeah, it seems so. It's definitely having a lot of success in the games tonight. And Infurrier, I think, is one of the people who's been running it quite a bit. And maybe that's part of the reason he's been so consistent.
I think so. I think there's a trend there for a reason. That's a lot of items.
Driving Light's got the entire item shop over there hanging out.
Yeah,
see where she wants to put those. She's actually in an okay spot to kind of hang on to it and find exactly what she wants to do with them. 62 HP, sitting at 4th. A pretty comfortable amount of HP, though. Can really decide what items she wants for the composition she's going to end up on. Right now, Predator, Glacial.
Locket, Zephyr, Berserker. That's what I'm calling with these items.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that'll be the case. Okay, no, it's IE instead. I'm wrong. Oh, there's a Zephyr. There's a Zephyr.
Yeah.
Right about half of them.
Hey, I like how you committed, though.
I did commit. Are you proud of me there?
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
I made a commitment. I was wrong, though, but it's okay.
But that's okay. Like, sometimes you just gotta commit. And if you're wrong, that's all right.
And committing is definitely what Striving Light did there to those items, and it seemed to work out. Seamless transition there.
There you go. Great one. They get the Glacial Freeze onto the Timber. Is going to be able to take that down with the Predators. I think the Glacial, I like this 4 Glacial set. I like this like composition, actually. It's not really one we talked about, but it's just a couple good synergies. Predators, of course, you mentioned you think is the strongest, but generally we see that Predator with the Steel with the Nocturne in there, just like some extra damage off those hyper rolls. I haven't seen that much of this Glacial Predator setup, but I like it a lot. Just kind of get that lockdown, try and slowly chip away the damage until you get them low enough that your Predators finish everything off.
Yeah, I think maybe Striving Light's actually looking for an Olaf. I mean, that would be pretty good for that composition. Not quite sure, though. We'll look later. Hand of Justice has been made for the Nocturne here by Faye. Not the best item, but not the worst. And she actually is able to make it to level 7 with a bit of gold left over. Yeah, not too bad. Definitely not too bad. Probably got at least decently lucky in some of these rolls to find that Sivir upgrade. Still is on Kiana 1, but overall not too bad.
To pop off already. Does get crowd controlled a little bit. See if it can kill this before the redemption goes off, and he does, but the stun comes out. Nocturne is a little HP, not quite enough as Talia finishes him off, but Faye's comp has really started to come online. I think there was just a few small RNG things there that kept her from winning that round.
Yeah,
and definitely starting to look up, and that's a pretty big pull. I mean, I think
that's insane, nice. Actually. Looking to go into that tier 3 Sivir. If Faye is able to find tier 3 Sivir with a Hush and a red buff, I will guarantee that will be at least a top 4, barring any really, really unlucky matchups versus very, very strong opponents. But that's a win condition for sure for this blender composition.
Yeah, and she's going to run into Striving Light here, actually, and I'm interested in seeing Striving Light's power level with this. We do have the Nocturne in the backline, but finally going to get frozen up. I feel like the Glacial is a pretty good answer to Nocturne in general. They're going to keep him frozen for now, but the Sivir's actually doing an insane amount of damage already, and Yasuo's going to keep frontlining. We're going to see if she gets procced by the Glacial here. She does. Get some ricochets bouncing, though, and that's going to be enough. Faye's going to take down the win over Striving Light there. That Sivir was fragging. Oh my god, so much damage from that ricochet coming across the entire composition. I was looking at the Nocturne, but suddenly, while that Nocturne was stunned, everything was dying. And it was the Sivir doing all of that damage.
Sivir did get Zephyr'd for the first 6 seconds of that fight, but after that Zephyr dropped, Sivir's like, it's my time to shine, and she did just that there. But something to note from that fight, while it was pretty close, Striving Light was sitting on 50 gold while Faye is on 0. Both were at the same level, so Striving Light is definitely looking to scale, maybe either rolling for upgrades or going to level up, but either way is in a bit of a better position for the late game here.
Absolutely,
and then making a Glacial. 6 Glacial.
Yeah, going on the Kog'Maw, I like that. Be able to try and get those Glacial procs from a range. 6 Glacial. I like the Olaf coming in too. We'll see if we get another Berserker. Get the Berserker buff rolling for...
Yeah. That's very greedy, I think, here by Striving Light to decide to sell the Skarner and not level up. She had a lot of gold.
Wait.
She could have leveled up here and kept Predators in, but deciding to get rid of them for the 6 Glacial.
You know, I didn't even notice that the Predator was going to be gone from that
Yeah.
till now, but just committing to just the 6 Glacial. What's the percentage right now? I know it's changed around
50%
a bit over the course of TFT, but 50%.
Yeah.
Chance. So coin flip every time you auto to freeze. I mean, that's it's
pretty
pretty good
good.
odds for TFT standards. That's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna be getting a lot of auto attacks out there. You're definitely gonna be hitting a lot of glacials. I would hope to see maybe Predators make a return into the composition when she can get to a higher level. I feel like that gives her that kind of extra oomph to kill off a lot of units.
Mhm.
But we'll have to see. Maybe she goes into Berserkers instead and plays around this Olaf, maybe getting some items onto him.
I think so.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's the likely route to go for here. Hopefully, we'll be able to pick up some items from the Raptors. But here we see Sphinx on 2 HP with a 6 Summoner composition.
yeah, and he's gonna lose one of his units right away, getting frozen up by these glacials.
That
Yeah,
Timbers is so tanky, but I don't know if it'll
that
be
Timbers is
enough.
thick. It's so much HP. Maybe it is enough. None of these units left actually do that much damage, but the freezes.
Yeah, the freezes.
Yeah, Timbers has to. He can't play. He can't escape.
Oh no, unfortunate for Sphinx there.
If Tibbers hit the Volibear right away,
Yeah, maybe.
I
It's
think
possible.
Tibbers wins that. I'm pretty sure Tibbers wins because it was just the freezes that
Yeah.
stopped him from being able to do it. But yeah, that was really unfortunate for Sphinx there, and he will go out in 8th, which is like very surprising for Sphinx. Very consistent player. We did talk about how he doesn't take that many risks. Very consistent, always placing top 4, and we
Yeah, that was a risk.
hit him with that quick caster curse and put him in 8th. So you're welcome, rest of the lobby.
Easy.
Easy 8.
Oh man, but it is definitely a risky composition there, talking about risks with running 6 summoners. If Yorick didn't fall instantaneously that last fight, and gotten an ultimate off, summoning those minions of light, I think the Yorick would have done enough there to win the round. Just wasn't really to be. Faye here, though, we talked about the fact that she needed items, and oh man, she got some items. That's an Infinity Edge for Nocturne. That's a Hush for Sivir. That's
Lock it, Morello's Lock it, right? Maybe Lock it, Morello, Kiana,
Morello.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. Lock it.
They both seemed okay.
That's the tier 3 Sivir. That's the win con. That's the win con.
Yo, Faye just win?
It's possible. It is definitely possible.
You hit IE.
Yeah.
You hit Hush.
Mm-hmm.
You hit T3 Sivir.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you got Morello's too. But like, that's kind of everything you could ask for. And she's got the blender. The blender is on high power. As we see Sivir ripping through this composition right now. Nocturne got
stunned by Kiana though. Oh no, that's about as bad as it could have gone. That was so unfortunate actually for Faye. I think that Sivir positioning, the Ocean Hex might be baiting her right now because that Kiana was able to stun the Sivir, negating pretty much all the damage that she could have done there. Yeah, very unfortunate.
Both carries actually got crowd controlled there. Nocturne was knocked up in the back as well, not dealing any damage, and the Sivir got stunned. Faye's got to find something to do with positioning here to try and set up so that that does not happen again. She has the tools to win. It's just a matter of some luck with whether or not the crowd control lands on her carries, but also some positioning to find the best places to go so that they will not both get locked down, and she's definitely messing around with that right now.
I like this. This is, I believe, optimal positioning for the blender composition here. But is it going to be enough versus Striving Light with those 6 glacials? The Sivir is getting glacial. The Nocturne
is doing an insane amount of damage, and that is going to be that round. And Striving Light might actually even go down. So much damage coming out from Faye there, and Striving Light gonna go ahead and land in 7th place once again. That's
Consistent 7th.
7th place Andy. You know, we talk about consistency here on Fight Night, and this is consistent. Unfortunately, not the consistency that you generally want to see, but it is consistency nonetheless. But yeah, Faye,
Very true.
you were talking about that positioning, and I really am visualizing why it is the blender now, because all of the units surrounded her Rek'Sai, making an actual circle, and then were ripped apart by the blades of that blender.
Yep, that is exactly so. But tuning into Infurrier versus Kladeous here. Kladeous did end up going lights. Has the Kindred light. Is it enough to take out the? Oh, it is.
Yeah.
That's
too. Like Kindred 3.
Yeah.
With light buffs. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be enough to take that round. That's looking kind of good. Looking a little bit good right now for Kladeous there.
Little bit. Oh man, yeah. Kindred 3. I want to check in with Kladeous' composition to see how exactly he's formed it. Because we haven't checked in with him in a while, but we see players.
Items, of course, on this round.
Yeah, every single item will be completed. Faye still deciding what she wants. It's either rapid fire cannon or disarm. I would take disarm, but she decides for rapid fire cannon. I think it's definitely not a bad choice there. I don't think that Sivir necessarily needs it, however, but it will make her less likely to walk forward and maybe chase a Singed into defeat. So, yeah, I respect that pickup. All right, Kladeous here. 6 lights, 3 shadows, and 2 Mystic Rangers.
This is the comp that you were kind of alluding to earlier with the shadow and light. We've got the soul bounds. This Kindred is so incredibly strong, though. The light, the static shiv, you know, patented by Kladeous, of course. Phantom Dancer, and getting all those light buffs from all these things dying in front. Now, I have a question for after this once we see who wins, but that Lux laser not being able to connect on as many targets as they would have liked. Kindred able to pump out plenty of damage here, is still staying alive, and yeah, those light buffs doing work. Does Lucian is light, correct? Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. New characters, always hard to keep them straight. Does Lucian give the light buff over when he dies the first time, or is it after Soulbound finishes?
I believe it's after he dies the first time. I'm honestly not 100% sure about that, but I believe the unit counts as dying, and that's what procs Soulbound, so I believe he would proc light there once he dies the first time. We can definitely take a look at it, though, and confirm that. But yeah, unfortunately, Teebs did get eliminated in 6th place that game, or this game, rather. So a player that I really wanted to look out for, not having the best performance this game, but still has another one to bring it back. But we see Faye, though, with the blender, facing the Singed.
Running into the Singed. Knockup coming across from that Nami, not able to catch onto any of the priority targets. And we do see a stun landing onto the Sivir, but she's still in the back line, pumping out plenty of damage. Nocturne staying pretty much untouched the whole time, and that's going to be a lot of damage going down onto Jinxed.
That Nautilus stun is so long, yeah.
Or I think it's actually Infurrier. People. It's okay. We got there.
We got there. I was just I wasn't able to assist there. I was thinking of that Nautilus stun, because while Sivir got knocked up twice there in that fight, there was still enough damage throughout the Sivir and the Nocturne to clean up there. But Nautilus stun is so long. I believe it's either 2.5 or 3 seconds at tier 2. So pretty insane value there, especially because Sivir is going to be guaranteed staying in the backlines now that she has that rapid fire cannon. So while that is good versus a Singed, so she doesn't troll and run it down chasing a Singed, it might not be great versus that Nautilus.
Yeah, of course. And speaking of my eyesight earlier, I'll be able to get those names straight as soon as possible. But yeah, Faye constantly on this kind of back foot, low HP, but been coming back every time. And top 5 already. Kladeous is definitely looking to be in a rougher position than Faye. Unless, of course, we do see that RNG not working out for her. I like this pickup of a Zeke's. Going to be able to help her out here. a lot with that attack speed onto both of those units.
Ooh, definitely so. Facing
This is
the Clone of Kladeous, but still, if she gets unlucky in this fight, she could still fall.
Watch
that Sivir, though. Yeah, that blender.
Yeah. This is the high power blender we've been waiting for. This is the maximum power blender.
Velocity we got here.
Maximum velocity blender.
Oh, that Kindred 18k damage by Kladeous there.
Yeah, it's nutty. It's getting all of these light buffs. It has the shadow buff as well.
Yeah.
It's pumping.
It's nuts.
Faye, I actually feel like may end up being the final two. I think their compositions are so incredibly strong. Aries and Jinxed are trying to hang on. Infurrier actually went down there.
Yeah.
Dropping pretty quickly, and that's another person we were looking out for, as they are sitting in first currently, but I think with the 5th place finish, they may be passed by Faye here.
Maybe.
We'll see. It'll be close.
Scores,
we'll have to look at the at the end here, but there's a lot going on still. A lot of TFT left to play. We see Jinx going into the blender right now, trying to keep his fingers out of it. But we're going to see the Nocturne and the Sivir still pumping out plenty of damage. And I think Nocturne's going to be able to carry this one as Sivir does go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jinx going to take a little bit more damage here.
That was a
very close game. Kladeous falls.
Kladeous falling, yeah.
That was unexpected. Aries, I believe, takes down Kladeous since Faye was against Jinxed. We'll have to take a look at Aries' comp because I did not expect Kladeous to fall so soon.
Yeah, we will see it soon enough. Scouting other players' boards right now. But the 6 Berserker 4 Electric.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll do it. That will do it indeed. That's so strong. There's a lot of tier 3s there. Scion 3, Mundo 3. How did he even get all of those? Holy, that's impressive.
He's been slowly creeping up behind us while we weren't paying attention. We were too busy staring at the blender, as people do on a Saturday morning. They're going in, trying to attack all these things. The Sivir putting out plenty of damage onto this composition, but it's just too much. And Aries Olaf is mowing through everybody. Faye gonna go out in third. Another top 4 placement.
Consistency.
But Aries' composition, I think, looks way too strong. We'll see if Jinxed can survive against it, but that Olaf is monstrous.
That Olaf, the electric procs, I mean, the Scion and the Mundo. I mean, Scion, I believe, has Zeke's and a Locket there, so going to be a lot of damage with that increased ability power from the Locket. Okay, Jinx did hit Zed too. Nami too. That Kha'Zix has a lot of good items. I just don't think it's enough though. I think the 6 Berserker 4 Electric is just all that Aries needs to take this.
I completely agree with you. I think this Olaf is just going to run over this composition. I mean, we're going to see
the third Morellos.
Start here. Lots of Morellos. Morellos everywhere. You get a Morellos, you get a Morellos. We're going to see if this Nami can get a big wave here. The Zed is already on her. That's going to be a pretty massive tidal wave. If there will be enough damage, Kha'Zix is running around dealing quite a bit. Takes down the Olaf. That's going to be huge, actually, and I think that'll be enough for Jinx to win the round. Being able to take down the Olaf is just the Zed clone left, and the Kha'Zix is still going to... The Kha'Zix carry was massive there, but not able to take down Aries yet, and it's still incredibly close, and anyone could die at any moment. It's just a matter of if that Kha'Zix can repeat that play once more and take down all these carries.
Volibear 3. Is that the difference that Aries needs here? Last fight was so ridiculously close. It's coming down to critical strike procs for electric, glacial procs, who the Kha'Zix will target. If Nami gets a good wave, the Zed Hush procs. It's just in Fate's hands right now.
Well,
who's going to win this match?
There's a lot of RNG, and I guess I'll take this away, and we'll see what happens. We've got Nami starting off. That's the first thing we've got to watch. The Lux Laser comes across, does not kill her off. We get a tidal wave across almost everybody. The eyes need to be on the Kha'Zix now. He goes around, takes down the Volibear, onto the Zed, takes him down. Going to take down the Mundo as well, and Sion's the only one. That's going to be it. Jinx is going to take this game a first place for Jinx. What a finish.
Oh, man.
Woo.
Cassie, you got me calling things and I wanting to commit, and I called that Aries would win that game, but then Jinx proving me wrong.
Oh no! Oh
proving
no!
me wrong.
Curse. I'm really just trying to get us out here, get us out here influencing things.
It really, really is. But no, I'm impressed by both of those players. Those top two, actually. Obviously, Faye as well. That consistent top four, third place twice in a row the past 2 games. But yeah, Aries with that Berserker electric composition, that was clean. But Jinxed, though, finding that Nami 2 and that Zed 2, was there another legendary there? I'm not sure, but oh man, that is what Jinx needed to get into first place here. Had a slow start game 1, but games 2 and 3 has taken back-to-back victories.
Now, Jinxed and Faye have made this one so incredibly close. Infurrier dropping out at 5th there, I believe, does make it so Faye caught up with 3rd, bringing her tied with him, but Jinxed getting his back-to-back first places gives him a 1-point edge, which really makes this final game very interesting between these three.
These
now, it's still possible for someone else to come back, but realistically, we're looking at Faye and Infurrier and Jinxed, barring a major upset right now.
Yeah.
Teebs, Sphinx, and Aries are all in striking distance if things go wrong for those top 3.
It's going to be so close. If Jinx and Infurrier and Faye have a bad game, I mean, it's unlikely that all of them do, but literally anybody in that top 6 could pull out a victory here tonight. I think these are some of the closest standings that we have seen on a fight night here. Ever, maybe?
It's one of the closest. It's definitely up there. The evenness of these top 3 is very insane. I mean, generally there's a differential at least between like 1 to 3 points between each of them, but they're all within 1 point of each other. So it's really going to come down to this final game, and Faye finds the spatula. Will she go into the same kind of composition? It's netted her very consistent finishes, but they haven't been first place finishes.
No, and I actually think that the reason they haven't been first place finishes is because of that weak early to mid game. When Faye finds all those units to really come online, that's her power spike, but she's already hemorrhaged, more than half of her HP before that point. So if she does decide to go Blade Master Assassins here, if she wants to, secure a first or a second, really needs to watch out for that. And it's definitely, first place is within striking distance here. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, and it is actually an Inferno map, which I do think lends itself to this blender composition a little bit even better than the other maps do. So this actually is a good look for that early spatula. There's a sword as well. So the items are starting to come in. It's just a matter of finding a good enough early game to kind of transition into this.
Exactly. That sword looking to go into the Infinity Edge in that blender composition has a pair of Zyras and a pair of Veins there, so we won't really see those units start to pour in yet, but maybe into the future. We see Kladeous here with a Nasus, Kog'Maw, and a Vayne. Sphinx with the Senna, keeping the Senna. A lot of players do like actually building Morellos on Senna, as we think we talked about earlier. She buffs all her allies to also apply Morellos on their hits, I believe. Finding a Kiana, that's a good unit to find early. LeBlanc and Nico as well, though, in case there's a woodland transition. A lot of options here for Sphinx.
Yeah, gonna put in a couple of those woodlands, it looks like right now.
Clicks the Nico.
It doesn't have gold for it. He's gonna be able to sell something and grab it. Probably just being like, hey, this is here. Giving himself that physical reminder, for his brain. You know what I'm talking about. They're like, this is here. Yeah. Remember this. You need this.
Definitely. I feel that 100%. But did decide to go for the 3 woodland 2 druid opener. Cannot blame that one. That's very, very strong. Has the rod on Senna, so has 3 items here. Probably won't commit to making any of those completed items yet, though.
No, nothing's standing out for a completion right now, other than maybe a Ginsu's, but not really for the composition he has. Yeah. Maybe he can build a Ginsu's if he runs into a Nocturne later. But right now, just keeping that woodland druid, we've talked about it so many times, it's just being a very strong early game to try and transition yourself into something else quickly, just for the first few rounds.
Yeah, for the first few rounds, Teebs has decided to aggressively level to level 4, putting a Talia 2 onto the battlefield with those woodlands. Now, it's going to give her a reduced chance to find the Maokais and the Iverns, the 1-cost units, as she has leveled up here. As we see on the bottom left here in the small font, there's now, Riot has added a percentage of chance to find each unit, depending on what level you are. So 50% chance to find 1 costs, down from, I don't know, I think it's 70, 75-ish at level 3. So maybe that would hurt her in the long run, but is looking to win streak, and it does give her a higher percent chance to find 3-cost units, and finds a Kindred and a Nocturne there. Maybe not the Nocturne route here for the blenders, but decides to pick up that Kindred though.
Also, thank you, Rito, for the percentage chart.
It's a good one.
Small
Yeah,
change. It's such a tiny change, but it's actually just very nice to just have it on your screen instead of, either, of course, you could memorize it, but a lot of people would have it up on another monitor, another tab, or something like that. It's just a nice little change to add in. So thank you, Rito, for that one.
Okay, 70% it is. I was right the first time. We see it here on the bottom left of Striving Light's screen here. Has the GA and the Morellas for Senna. Those are very, very good Senna items. So maybe some shadows, lights, going to be what she wants to transition into in the future. Has a couple of Wardens though, and the Nasus too. I think this will be enough to take the round.
Yeah, most definitely will be enough. The Senna still has her GA, of course, and the Thresh won't even go down. It's going to be a little bit of damage down onto her opponent there, but she...
Ooh, Scion as well.
Oh, yeah, there's some shadows.
There's a lot of pairs here, actually. I didn't notice initially, but has a pair of Sennas and a pair of Threshes as well. If she's able to hit those, that's going to be a pretty huge power spike. It's on 10 gold, maybe not the most wealthy here in this game, but does have 2 very strong completed items to make up for that.
Absolutely, and sitting on these pairs, of course, like you said, once she finds these power spikes, already kind of building into a pretty powerful comp, so it's going to be a matter of getting those. We see the Assassins, the LeBlancs jumping onto the Senna here, but she does have a GA, will be able to stall quite a bit. Scion going to actually eat the brunt of the damage from the LeBlancs afterwards, and Senna's now up kind of free-firing, able to get off her ultimate there. Might not be enough, though. The double LeBlanc is pretty powerful. Scion staying alive a little bit longer, but no, it won't be enough there. Double LeBlanc really good in the early game. I mean, as we've talked about, the Woodland Druids, very, very strong. And LeBlanc obviously being an assassin, able to jump into the backline when copied. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. T2 LeBlancs. Yeah.
Definitely was going to say just that. The fact that Teebs was able to find that LeBlanc upgrade there was the sole reason that she won that round in those 2 tier 2 LeBlancs, getting onto that Senna. But we see Karis around here. If we talk about the early game of Faye, and Faye's early game is indeed good here, sitting at 100 HP. So a bit of a change of pace there. Still has the spatula, doesn't have a bow yet though. Decides to get a tier, maybe for a Hush. We'll have to see later. Has a couple of tier 2s.
Right now, she's got 1 piece of each item that she wants for the blender.
Yep. But they're all there. They're all there.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. Right now, a couple mages, well, a mage.
Yeah.
It's very, very kind of pieced together comp.
Yeah,
just
mix and
as many
match
T2s as she can, Gonna grab a synergy here, get Inferno in. Got Ocean in as well with the Thresh. So now actually building into some synergies. Before it was just a bunch of tier 2 units out, but it had kept her at 100. Definitely don't expect her to stay at 100 for that long if she can't find a few more upgrades, a few more compositional changes. But for now, able to keep this win streak rolling.
Yeah,
she runs into Striving Light.
With that Senna, but Striving Light did not level up, so still on level 4, whereas Faye is on level 5 here. That might make the difference this round.
Yeah, and the Zyra, the mid-game Zyra doing wonders. Well, I guess it wouldn't even quite be mid-game yet. It's still very, very early on. But Zyra, very powerful. Tier 2 in the early game, of course, just as good, if not better, than Tier 2 in the mid-game. So we're going to be able to deal plenty of damage, help Faye hold on to this win streak for a little bit longer.
Yeah, see Kladeous here with some more lights, has that tier 2 Senna with a Seraphs and Morellos. You know, that Seraphs will help Senna to instantly cast her ultimate, buffing all of her allies, so a nice tech choice of items there. But it does dedicate, you know, a lot of items to one Senna. So going to have to make the best of that going into the mid game. You know, maybe there will be a lack of frontline here. There's only one singular Scion. Wonder how it'll go. Kiana jumps into the back here.
Kiana trying to take down the Senna right now. Kladeous' Senna, of course, having mostly just the mana items, like you mentioned. The mana and the Morellos getting that buff out. The fact that Senna does stay alive, though, without even having that GA, helping this Malzahar put out some damage on Ivern. I think it will be enough. Ivern actually taking down one.
If he gets shield.
Yeah, Ivern's there, yeah. Ivern's going to take it down. Kladeous going to take a little bit of damage, but Senna looking good so far. He probably wants to find that GA for the Senna, as well as, of course, find the Lucian, but that will have to wait.
Definitely, and it's very interesting. I think that play by Kladeous there to not sell the Rissakah to make Econ there to get up to 30 gold means that Kladeous is indeed committing to another light shadow type of composition here. So we'll have to check back in later to see how that progress is going, but definitely that means that he is committed. Teebs still 100 HP along with Faye.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they run into each other. Even looking at Teebs' comp, I mean, it's just, you know, Woodland Druid. It's just held on for a pretty long time at 100 HP. We know it's a strong early game composition, of course, very strong. I guess it's having the tier 2 LeBlanc has probably been a big boon for that very strong unit in the early game. And the Woodlands are continuing to hang on for a little bit longer here. Keeping her at 100. There's a little bit of gold off of Krug's round. Maybe would have liked to see some items instead, but gonna go up to 30 gold right now.
Yeah.
On a little bit.
Her items aren't the best, but those are some pretty good pulls there. Already finding an Annie and a Yorick on level 5. Teebs again decides to aggressively level to 6. Now she did that last game and it ended up with her, I believe, in 6th place. Does that have any correlation? Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Yep, did end last game in 6th with aggressively leveling to level 6 on round 3-1. We'll see if keeping the win streak is going to make the difference this game, however. Facing Kladeous.
Yeah, facing Kladeous, we're going to see how she fares into this Senna. It looks like the Senna, Kladeous' comp seems to be running over Teebs, but the Tibbers does come out, and it may be enough because Tibbers is very strong at this point in the game. The Morello's melting, though, with that percent HP damage. And Teebs is going to lose her streak, which is going to really hurt right now, being on low gold, no streak, and a composition that's already starting to lose to the person who's currently in last place.
Yeah, I didn't quite check Kladeous' gold there, but that is not what you want to see if you are Teebs. I mean, last game leveled, protected the streak, and had more gold. This time leveled, has less gold, and did not protect the win streak. Hopefully the mid game will be a bit better this time around, though. And Kladeous did level this turn, is on 23, so a decent amount of gold here. Didn't really roll at all, is just naturally pretty strong with that Senna.
He leveled this turn, which means before beating Teebs, he did not spend any gold. He was just what he's naturally on. So that's definitely boding very bad for Teebs right now. But Kladeous is still looking pretty strong after the level up. Will end up losing to these Predators of Aries, continuing to drop a little bit of HP. But he has gotten quite a bit stronger. Just needs a little bit more of a front line right now, and hopefully to find that Lucian.
Yeah, that's always the struggle that I find these days with shadow compositions, is having a good front line. So maybe needs that Scion 2 in order to make a difference there. We did get some bits in there, 500 from Trestle. Thank you very much. And yeah, this is the last game. There's such a close race here, everybody. So if you are feeling so generous as to cheer for, what player that you think is going to win, you can cheer or donate. In fact, these standings are so close. So let us know who you want to come out victorious on top here in this game number 4. It all helps out the players, cast and crew, everyone involved here tonight.
Yeah, make sure to cheer for your favorites. Let them know. We've got a very tight race today. And Sphinx trying to keep himself in the game as well. Going to take this round still at 88 HP. Very healthy. Looking towards that Nocturne. Maybe the Blender comp going to be what he moves into. Tier 2 Nocturne with a bow already.
Yeah, maybe. Just needs a spat, but that spat is not here. Might get it on the Wolves or the Raptors round. Maybe. Probably doesn't want to have to wait that long, but yeah, this is commitment. Now, okay, the player I was talking about earlier, I was referring to Allens. Allens will very consistently do just this. Have the Blade Master Assassin composition, the Blender, but with no Blade Master Spatula, and will even, you know, top 2, top 3 some games that he will never find the complete Blade Master Spatula, which does go to show that if you play that comp correctly, you can still pull out some consistent top placements even without that spatula. Not something that I've been able to perfect yet.
Sphinx at 88 HP. I mean, he's hanging in there. Has 2 of the 3 completed items that he wants for the Nocturne are currently sitting on a Nico, but of course it will probably be passed over as the game goes on and he finds more of the pieces that he wants.
This is interesting though. You know that tier? You know those Sivir items with the Hush? I don't think those will be on Sivir this game because does commit the tier already to the Kiana. Unless he wants to rebuild that Kiana later. So maybe he's looking to do something else here? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, maybe looking to try and hold onto his win streak. He thinks the tier could make a difference in some of his fights. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
tier is definitely like a smaller overall upgrade. I don't know how much it would contribute to making that win. I'm not sure this Nico's even going to survive against this Tibbers here.
No.
That's pretty unfortunate for Sphinx as he's going to lose his win streak right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if Sphinx won that round, then hey, the tier probably did actually make the difference there, but unfortunately the Tibbers was a bit too strong. Checking back in with Striving Light here. Yeah, we see some Wardens. We see still a tier 1 Senna. She's been on that tier 1 Senna with that pair for pretty much the whole game, but is still a 3 win streak, has a Lucian with the Hush, which is very good considering his ultimate with the Culling will proc on hit effects. So that's, yeah, very, very good itemization there. But still 83 HP towards the top of the pack here. Facing Teebs, who is in first.
Yeah, Teebs has lost HP at this point as well, down to 85. Vigar for Striving Light, going to be able to take out the little Malzahar there and win that round pretty handedly, having the Lucian Senna at this point, and as you mentioned, the Hush being quite powerful on that Lucian. Definitely going to keep Striving Light near the top of the table for a little while here. I don't expect her to drop anytime soon. We'll see how the items pan out off of Wolves for everybody, though. That's a tier 3 Kog'Maw for Aries.
Ooh, that's a really, really good pickup there. But, I mean, you did say you didn't expect to see Striving Light fall anytime soon. But I think it does come down to after this round. It is when a lot of players will level up to level 7 and roll for upgrades if they feel they need to. If Striving Light does feel as though she needs to, which arguably maybe does with only that Senna 1, and doesn't hit those upgrades, might see her fall sooner than we might have expected.
Alright, and you're going to see all those wolves jump over to Lucian, and he's just going to keep putting out as much damage as he can. As Soulbound synergy working out. Just going to be a lot of gold. Ooh, and Nico's.
That's what you like to see, I think, if you're Striving Light. Finding one more Lucian, you could just slap the Nico on it and get it to a tier 2. I'm curious to see what she does with this roll down.
There's a Taric
that she passed up. Yeah.
Nami she'll grab.
Does put that in. Maybe doesn't want to roll down anymore. I'm curious for that that Taric though. I definitely would have liked to see that being picked up, given that she already has a Nico and a tier 2 Taric rather. I mean, won the first game, so we know it's a strong unit.
Yeah, if not just to hang on to it for a second in this round, right? If you were gonna keep rolling, maybe you get very lucky and find one more. Right?
Definitely.
You can always sell it later. You can always change your mind, get the 5 gold back.
But It's neither here nor there, but she's facing Faye now. And that Lucian from the Shadow Realm there, taking out the rest of Faye's composition there. That
Something's
Soulbound.
very cool. I like
it
it.
is.
It's grown on me throughout, throughout just watching it. It's just very cool to watch. I like the concept. I think it's very smart design. I'm very happy with that that addition to the game. And I think it doesn't feel too unfair is one of the cool things that I like about it. It definitely feels like it's a good composition, but it's not that dominant. So it's just a very, very nice addition to the game.
It is. So I see now what Sphinx was doing.
Go for it.
It just clicked. Sphinx doesn't care about going Blade Masters at all. He wants to go 6 assassins. With the nerf of Fam Dancer in the last patch, critical strikes will still deal damage targets with PD. They just won't deal the crit damage, but it won't completely negate the attack anymore, which is going to be very, very strong for assassin comps. I don't think I've seen 6 assassin run at all in a very long time. Unfortunate there that Sphinx lost that though.
He's not there yet.
Nocturne got trapped in the corner for the first 5 seconds of that fight, not doing anything because the units blocked him in. So if that didn't happen, definitely would have won that. So a little unfortunate there, but Infurrier with that singed with the Morellos, very, very strong. Needs to find that Yorick though. Has Blade Master spot potential on the bench. I always see that. It's one of my favorite compositions. I just look at Spatula and Bow and I'm like, that's Blade Master. Where's the Nocturne set?
He's just got to sell his whole comp, I think. And, find Nocturne, find a bunch of other stuff. Get rid of all this.
Oh man, that would be interesting to see that transition, but probably not what we're going to see here. But what we do see is that Jinxed and Infurrier are among the bottom 2.
So Faye was Faye. All 3 of them were the bottom 3 until just now when Kladeous lost. The bottom 3 was Faye, Infurrier, and Jinxed, and that's the case where we see the upset of those 23-point people coming in if they stay down there. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's making it an even tighter race than it already was. I mean, they're not out yet though, so we can't get too up there, but it could happen.
HP is a resource, and these players are using it just as that indeed. Such a close race. Jinxed, Infurrier, and Faye, the top 3 by 1 point separating them. Teebs here, though, also could make it happen. She's sitting in 3rd place here. What item did she grab? Not quite sure. We will see right now. It is a tier. Maybe looking to make that Seraph's. Yes, she is. Putting on the Kindred. Yes, she is. I like it. Seraph's with an AP build Kindred will continue hopping around, dealing massive damage. So I definitely like that decision there. 3 Shadow.
Flat mana generation. Being much better for the low mana pool than, of course, the Spirit of Shojin, which is percentage based.
Exactly. Has a couple, actually more than half of her board is still tier 1 though, and she's only on 7 gold. So it's not a great look in terms of the longevity of the strength of her composition, and not even a great look right now as she's less gold than Infurrier but still losing. Has some HP to work with though, so that's
yeah, but it won't last if she takes 15 damage in a turn, right? If that keeps happening, it's definitely not looking good for Teebs, but hopefully she can hang on. Hopefully she can find some of these upgrades that she needs. But right now,
it's still rolling. Okay, found the Yorick. That's huge.
Yeah, gonna definitely help out that front line be a lot stronger. Jinxed actually losing a lot of HP as well, dropping very low.
24 HP. A good composition though, looking for that Summoner Sin. This wants to be a Zed later on into the game, but for now it has perfect synergies. Actually, I like looking at that synergy board, synergy bar on the side there.
Yo, that's aesthetic for sure.
That is aesthetic, definitely.
That's real nice.
Basic Infurrier. Does the aesthetic hold up?
Everything in there has a purpose.
It does. And I mean, for good reason, as we see Jinx take the win here in this round.
Yeah, he does, and that's going to help a lot. Definitely needing to pick up a couple wins as his HP has dropped very low. Faye also falling very low, and Infurrier is the only one kind of trying to
Ooh,
resurge, but if we look at the HP values, it's a
yeah,
separation of 10 hit points between first and or 8th and 4th, sorry.
yep. That is pretty insane, actually. So Faye, she's at 26 HP right now, second to last. This same issue is coming up again. These units are all here, but that's only a Nocturne 1. The transition wasn't quite there to be able to get into this late portion of the game and still stay healthy. She's going to need to at least find that tier 2 Nocturne next turn. And okay,
That's
yeah,
a fawn right there.
that is a fawn. That is a fawn. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make any other on-hit items for the Sivir. That would have been really nice if that were to be a belt to pair with the other chain vest. But this roll down here is going to be important. Let's see.
Yeah,
Wants
I mean,
to
the
find a
fawn
Janna as well.
means that she can afford to more so go into these roles instead of needing to
Yep.
level up also. Just allows her to kind of have the flexibility to spend more
Ooh.
money.
Okay,
Finding a
Nocturne.
couple Sivers. Actually, one Sivir away. That's
Yeah.
huge. And the Nocturne
not?
upgrade is
Janna.
even arguably bigger.
Ooh, yeah, definitely wants to put that Janna in for the Cloud buff. Cloud buff was buffed. Needs to make items here. There's these tense situations where these players have a lot to do in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, we'll see if the Nocturne can actually be enough of an upgrade to help her win this round. It's very important that she picks up a couple wins, and I think the Nocturne might be able to do enough. We do see the GA coming up, but yeah, it will be, and Striving Light's going to take a little bit of damage from Faye here.
Yeah, starting late. Level 8 with 0 gold. Faye doesn't really need to go level 8 anymore, actually, because of that Force of Nature, fortunately for her, is still going to roll. There's the Sivir
Yeah, huge.
3. Yep, Janna in now for Cloud as well. Hopefully, Faye can find another on-hit item, whether it be Swordbreaker for Disarm or Red Buff for the constant burn and HP healing reduction, rather, on this next carousel, as it will all be completed items. But I'm not sure. Will the Sivir be enough with just one item? It might be. It might be. Facing Aries here, very strong.
Has the GA as well to maybe stall for the Nocturne to get more damage out as well. So we're going to see Nocturne's going to go on the back line here. Needs to kill that Kog'Maw off as it's a main source of damage.
Yeah.
He does do that. Yeah, he's ripping through the composition of Aries, and Faye's going to be able to continue this win streak and climb her way back up all the way in 4th place, passing up Infurrier and Jinxed, but Jinxed able to win a round as well. It's very close race between those three, all in the middle of the pack. Sphinx hanging on to first. It still has a chance to win it all if he keeps that first place, but he needs Faye, Jinxed, and Infurrier to all fall, and that's not looking so likely anymore.
No, it is not, unfortunately, in that case, but Kladeous here, 7 HP, has the lights and shadows once again. Is it going to be enough to beat Aries, though? This comp was blended on high power previously by Faye, but will it be taken to the Shadow Realm by Lucian?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Lucian still putting out damage as Senna stays alive, but will finally go down to the Kog'Maw. Aries taking down Kladeous. That's the 7th place for Kladeous here.
Teebs, unfortunately, died a bit earlier, getting 8th place there. Which, and Infurrier falling pretty low there too. But that does mean something though. Striving Light, not a 7th place this game. Moving on up. The consistency though.
Wait, let's see. Where's the items? The Swordbreaker. There is one.
There is. Yep.
That's what Faye's gonna want, and Striving Light gonna play spoiler on that one and take it away. What does Faye want then?
Probably either Deathblade or Hand of Justice. Yeah, Hand of Justice I think actually is the correct thing here. If it rolls healing, it's still good for the Sivir, as she'll be able to, heal on up. But if it rolls damage, also good. Sivir dealing 50% more damage. Can't complain about that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a good pickup for Faye here. Definitely not the best pickup, but still a good one nonetheless. gonna allow her to get out a lot of damage. Faye's comp's looking very good. Infurrier dropping to 6 HP. Faye at this point may just need to outlast those two in order to take this victory. Actually, no. If she gets fourth and Sphinx gets first, they would tie. And then Sphinx would win on tiebreakers. So
the possibilities
are there. Faye's got to at least climb one more spot than she's at right now in order to win. Jinxed has a little bit more of a buffer because he has one additional point.
Oh man, it's
Warrior goes down and will fall out of the race for first, but still very likely to find himself in a top. Well, the top 3 race is very close. We'll see about the top 3 finish here. There's a lot of people vying for it this time around. We'll see if he's done enough.
You know, I like this composition by Striving Light here. It wasn't enough to resist the blender of Faye, but it is still 3 Shadow, 3 Summoner, almost 3 Lights. Not quite, but that's okay because Illusion has a lot of really good items here. The Senna has the Guardian's Angel.
Already procced by the Senna. The Lucian hasn't gone down yet, but will go down. They go down kind of simultaneously, not getting much value out of the Soulbound.
Oh, Scion.
Ooh, that's a good positioning on that decimating smash, and Scion's going to decimate the rest of the composition there. Get a win for Striving Light.
Yeah, I wonder if Sphinx is on 6 assassins. I didn't catch to see how many there were there. Still is on 5. Needs that Zed or a assassin spatula, because I think that is the route that Sphinx is looking to go. Just hasn't quite found it yet. Has 2 Nocturne 2s with items on each of them. Probably puts that disarm on the other Nocturne.
Yeah, most likely. We'll be able to easily handle this dragon. Get that sword breaker for his Nocturne.
Yeah, has the Azir in there for Desert as well. Desert's good, especially considering how many people are likely to play Wardens. I'm not sure if anyone has Wardens into the late game here. Maybe 2 of them if they do, but Desert's still a strong like splash synergy to put in there, only requiring those 2 units. One of them being an assassin, which he already wants.
Still not finding that Zed.
No.
Down a lot of gold. Doesn't get it. Gonna keep rolling.
Wants to find Nocturnes and Zeds and a Rek'Sai.
Rolling so much gold. I mean, you can see it on his face. He's not happy.
Oh, the Rek'Sai.
Rek'Sai. I mean, that's kind of the least concern, but he'll take it.
Yeah, he'll take it. Facing Faye.
Again, back into the blender now as running into Faye. Gonna make short work of Sphinx here. And that's going to be a lot of damage coming in. Hitting him in the face. 21 to be exact. Dropping him pretty low. And Jinxed falls as well.
Oh, wow.
Faye may secure her spot.
She's the queen of Fight Night for a reason.
The queen is back. Long may she reign. There's still a chance that Sphinx can pull this out. So we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But right now, it's not looking good for everyone else. Faye even seeing the Zed first before Sphinx can find it.
And Amumu 2 there, sitting on the bench currently. Does she decide to play it over the Rissakah? I think that she will, as I don't believe Mystics is too important this game. She's thinking about it and does indeed decide to go for that. Amumu 2, if he does get ult off, which probably will as a 2-star legendary, will be very, very impactful. Unless, of course, he gets hushed by Lucian.
Yeah,
he gets hushed by Lucian.
Big wave coming across. We see the Nocturnes actually taking a lot of damage from the Lucian, just eating a full culling to the face. And actually, Striving Light gonna take a round off of Faye. Yeah. Hold on.
Oh, Sphinx falls.
Sphinx. Okay, well, Aries has just secured it for Faye. Wait, no. Aries was also at 23.
Too much math. I don't know.
Aries was also at 23. This is so close. If Aries makes it to first.
All right. I
Wait
mean,
a
all we
minute.
can do now is just
Oh
watch
no.
as these players try to claw and fight their way back.
Aries
These are the
is
scores as of right
23.
now. Yeah, Aries is at 23.
Okay, we'll have to see if Aries can pull this off. Let's go. Let's see. Gonna run into the blender.
Yep, Faye here.
Dealing a lot of damage out onto Aries' composition. The blender isn't enough. Kog'Maw, no, he goes down,
Ooh.
but it's just the clone. So it's still Aries going against Striving Light, and Aries takes down Striving Light.
Yeah.
So the real Aries versus Faye for the title here. Because if Aries wins, it's a first place and wins the tiebreaker versus Faye. 9 HP to 8 HP. It comes down to this to see who wins Fight Night.
This is some of the most intense TFT I've ever watched, Kaz.
I'm also trolling, but it's very intense because Faye needed to hit 4th place, not 2nd. So Faye is still the queen, but Aries is coming back huge here and will be able to put himself into 2nd place and come back.
Caster math. Pepe
Caster
hands.
math is very good. My caster math was there at one point, the huge brain caster math, and then it disappeared really quickly. Things started going crazy.
Yeah, though, this is an intense final battle here by Aries and Faye, nonetheless, as these compositions are both extremely strong here. Will the blender prevail? Is the question.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so far it looks like it. The Kog'Maw does go down. Now it's just the Sivir remaining, running into the still another Predator. Just going to proc the GA, but not enough HP. The Skarner's going to come back in and proc the Predator once more.
Aries
going to take a 1st place here, which is going to bump him up the standings quite a bit. But I think Faye still takes it. We'll see the updates very shortly because I can't do math. Well,
I'm scared to call anything decisively now, especially with these scores.
Say that Faye is the queen of Fight Night and has won once again. And if I'm wrong, I'll just look like an idiot, but that's okay.
That is very okay, I'm sure. No one will judge you for that. It'll be all fine. But either way, these were so intense of games. And yes, indeed, you were right, Casanova. Faye, 1st place, 40 points here. Aries in 2nd with 36. Jinxed in 3rd, 35. Infurrier in 4th with 33. Sphinx, the defending champion, unfortunately, a couple of lower placements there, but still a respectable score nonetheless. 31 points in 5th. Teebs in 6th. Striving Light in 7th, 22. And Kladeous in 8th with 21. Overall, some very, very close scores here. I wonder, do we get that winner's interview still?
The queen is back.
Maybe. Yeah, that's
returned.
Very interesting.
Anime Desu-chan is sending bits. All is right in the world.
All is right indeed. Thank you for those bits, much appreciated to everyone here. All right, I think we're going to go over to this interview very soon here. I have a lot of questions to ask Faye. Faye, congratulations on securing the victory here tonight. That was those are quite some intense games. Did you ever feel like you had it in the bags tonight, or were you more unsure? I mean, those were some consistent top 4s, but a little bit of some rough starts you had in the early games, but bringing it back later on.
Yeah, I felt like my early games in the first 3 games were awful. And like my goal was basically just try to stabilize and get top 4. And I did that pretty consistently, so ended up working out.
Yeah, I would say very consistently.
Seeing as how on Discord, you're trolling.
Oh, that's I'm trolling. I would say, very consistently on those top 4s. You were able to get top 4 every single time. So very, very consistent play. I have, a very, pressing question. How does it feel to be queen?
Feels good to be back, be queen again. Feels nice.
Yeah, long may she reign. Welcome back to the winner's circle.
Indeed. Also, another question about the compositions here tonight. You did run the blender a couple of times. Do you think that that might be the strongest composition in this patch, or do you think that something else might be a bit better, or just yeah? How are your thoughts on the meta so far? I know it's only a couple days into the patch.
It's really hard to say because the patch only just came out yesterday.
Hmm.
But going into today, because I knew I wouldn't have enough time to like learn enough about the patch, I was like, I'm just gonna go Blender and Predator and try the top four. I don't
Yeah.
know if those are the strongest that are gonna be for this patch, but at least they're the most consistent going into like tonight, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking myself personally, those might be the strongest too. But I mean, we saw a victory in the first game by Teebs with her 4 Warden composition. Definitely, this patch has not been solved yet. Definitely a lot of room for people to experiment with compositions. Do you have a comp that you think might be one of the front runners? I know again it's pretty early, but is there anything that excited you to see tonight? Some innovation?
There's a decent amount of people running Soulbound. I'm interested
Yeah.
to see if that ends up being viable or not. I did a fair amount of testing with Senna, and I felt like she was pretty mediocre.
Okay.
I don't know if Soulbound's gonna be a thing, but people are doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, they were. I mean, the on-hit items on Lucian definitely did work. Itemizing the Senate as well to stay alive seemed pretty good. Maybe people will find out how to run it optimally. But Casanova, do you have any final questions here?
You know, I'm not sure if I've got anything. I feel like you covered it pretty well. I will say, did you feel like you had this in the bag, or were those early games just pressuring you way too much? Did you feel like just somehow you held on for dear life, or was this like you knew you had it?
I felt pretty doomed on the start of those games because it's
That's
like,
what
oh
I
god,
thought.
this feels pretty doomed. I'm just
I
gonna
felt
try
like you
and
were doomed too.
I'm just gonna try and stabilize and aim for top four. And thankfully, I managed to squeak out a couple of fourths and thirds doing that. So
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you handled the pressure of being so low HP very well, and played really really well tonight. Able to make it back. So congratulations on that first place finish.
thank you,
Well
thank you.
played, and yeah, it's good to have you here.
definitely. Do you have any final words? Any shout outs here before we sign off?
Shout outs to everyone who played tonight. They were pretty close games. I think the points like came down pretty close as well, right?
Yeah, there was, I
They were close.
believe, a 39, 38, 38, and like 333s coming into the final game. So it was pretty insane.
Yeah, it was pretty close game. So shout out to everyone else who played. Shout out, of course, to you guys and to Jules and Heroes Hearth. You guys put on an amazing production as always.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
And
those kind words.
yeah, I also recently managed to finally change my Twitch and Twitter to be the same. So now it's Faye. So find
Ooh,
me there on Twitch and Twitter.
rebranding Pog.
Everyone go check her out on those socials for sure. Go see some high level TFT action.
Yeah, you also write articles pretty frequently, don't you?
Yeah, I write and post them on Heroes Hearth. You can find them there. I don't know the link offhand. Just look for Faye's blogs, and I'm sure you'll find it.
Yeah, you also, tweet about them, putting your Discord, all that good stuff. So finding your socials, you will find them. But thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your victory. I think that'll be about it. Wrapping up. There's some exciting things in the works for Fight Night coming up in the
Yeah.
near future. So
Yeah,
be on the
we've got a
lookout for that.
huge announcement right after the holidays. So you'll have to stick around for the holidays and come back after that, and there'll be some really big announcements.
Cassie,
But
you're
yeah.
killing him. Why you gotta do him like that?
But thank you guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for cheering for everybody here. Thank you to all the players participating. We had a stacked lobby today. It was a great night, and we will see you guys after the holidays.
Yeah. Peace out.